the great ice storm, the great 2022 Texas ice storm, significantly less chaotic than the 2021 Texas ice storm. So,
I mean, assuming that like we didn't die and this part isn't just like a dream.
Ooh.
Or like this is our brain dying and the final thoughts. Is it all turned out okay?
And it's all fine. Meanwhile, your actual body is just like shivering under like snow and debris in your house. But I tell you what, no amount of snow and debris is going to keep the Rage Select podcast from happening right here on Rage Select. So if this is...
That's a relief. Some things always will be.
That's right. If this is the afterlife, I can't believe that we still have to talk about Sony acquisitions and NFTs and bullshit.
How often in your dreams are you just dreaming about going to work or something?
Oh, I'm not. I'm not.
I dream about going to work like with jobs I had 25 years ago still.
Yeah.
You know, like, come on. Like,
Chris, I'm a YouTuber. I don't have dreams anymore. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff.
I'm Chris.
We've got a real shitload of business to deal with this week. But before we get to that, I don't know. I was trying to think like there was a point in time for a while there where there was like a new movie or like a new TV show or a new thing coming out every week. And now I feel like I'm really just kind of in a holding pattern. Like I'm going to watch that new Guillermo del Toro movie came on HBO.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch that like as soon as we get done.
Yeah.
But, it's like I don't.
If you love it and you want to borrow the original, I got the Criterion. It's also very good.
Oh, is it a remake?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Which was based on a very popular but much maligned novel because it was, film noir is usually pretty dark.
Sure.
Well, this was dark.
This is really dark.
And people were like, fuck, dude. Plus, the original movie had Tyrone Power as its star, who up until that point was known as a romantic lead pretty much all the time. And here he is playing this total fucking scumbag of a character,
Interesting.
People were like, this is not what I want to see. But years later, considered a major classic in film noir now, like a game changer. And
okay.
Guillermo del Toro remaking it, like when they said that, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because like the first third of this takes place in like excuse the term, but freak show was the term they used back then.
Yeah.
Carnival freak shows, like sideshow thing. And you're like, come on, that's got del Toro written all over.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I don't have like anything, what am I going to do? Peacemaker's fine.
Well,
like
January,
Boba Fett's pretty good.
January and early February is when everything is super slow with what I do, which is movies and TV shows and stuff. But like for new stuff coming out in terms of stuff I'm reviewing. So I'm like, oh, it's catch up time.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I have moments, I'm like, I'm going to watch the show that everybody said was great.
Mm-hmm.
And now I get to see it. And so like I've been marathoning through show after show.
Anything stick out?
Yeah, dude. I saw a bunch of good stuff. Archive 81 was really cool.
I watched the first episode of that. I think I might watch more of it.
Yeah, super creepy, very cool, kind of Lynchian at points, but not like to the level of abstractness as that. Yellow Jackets on Showtime is terrific.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah, like a female soccer team that crashes in the mountains, and right in the beginning we say, well, at some point they murder one of their own and eat them. But that part of the mystery show is who was it? Because they're very careful not to show you the face of the girl in question.
Okay.
And it's a multiple season show, so we don't know still at the end of the first season, but it flashes back in time between decades later when they're all grown up, and someone's blackmailing them, we'll tell what really happened.
So kind of like,
and then back then,
kind of Lost meets Lord of the Flies.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Exactly that.
Okay,
but then also, much to my surprise, and get ready for a slew of this now for shows that just didn't stick the landing.
Yeah,
of them going back, I want to get another shot to stick the landing, because Dexter New Blood fucking sticks the landing.
Okay.
Everything as bad as the last two seasons of Dexter were. The new season is like, wow, y'all really put a lot of work into making this an incredibly well-written, good series with a great ending to it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Totally terrific.
Cool. Yeah, I will have to.
Station 11 also really good.
Station 11. Which one is that?
That's the HBO one where it's like post-apocalyptic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
More thoughtful. It's not like other apocalypse shows at all. It's definitely more cerebral.
Okay.
As where, I was like at first like, great, here's another Walking Dead, and it's not that at all.
Cool. Yeah. Well, the only thing I have to recommend this week is stop it. Shut up. Shut up, my phone.
You can't work technology?
Technology hates me now. I spent 40 minutes trying to flash my BIOS last night. It was the most embarrassing thing in my life.
I used to know what that meant.
I got a new computer and it keeps locking up. And I went online and they're just like, flash the BIOS. And so I did. And I don't know. Maybe
it was like, I don't want to see your dick.
Yeah. Yes. Sending you hot BIOS pics. So I've been listening to. I switched from podcast to audiobooks.
Okay.
And I recently, like after I watched Dune, I kind of listened to all of the Dune books over again.
Again, yes,
and I was
as
like,
you warned me that you were going to do.
yeah. And that was great. And then I listened to like the Desade Experiment, which was a kind of an
good one.
offshoot.
Yeah, I like
good.
that and The White Plague are both really good.
Yeah. And I wanted some more sci-fi, and so I decided to. I've been trying for years. Have you ever read any of the Ian Banks culture books?
I know that I read one of them, but I couldn't tell you now which one it was.
Okay. Years ago, my friend turned me on to these, and like the second book in the series, like don't start at the beginning. Like I know that people say this, but like consider Phlebas, the first one, is really difficult because Ian Banks is a really verbose writer that spends a long time doing stuff. The second one is called Player of Games, and I've recommended it before. And it actually, if you want to read it, like it's a really good book. It's just got like one main character. The whole thing with the culture is it's like a long way in the future. It's like, imagine if the singularity happened, except that like after it happened, we all were just like the AIs were really nice and we just kind of let them run everything. And then we were just like, I'm going to just play volleyball for the rest of my life. So Player of Games is about this guy who's like all he does in the culture, which is kind of like the main society, is play games. And there's like this other civilization where their entire civilization is run off of this game. And so the culture asks him to go play this game so they can learn more about it, and shenanigans ensue. It's one of the most straightforward of the books that he's read, because I've read a bunch of them. Well, I listened to
he's British, right?
I think so.
Because
like
I want to say that he's like really in the EU, like thought of much more highly there than he is here.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
I listened to one called Surface Detail, and Surface Detail has like 8 different protagonists, and like a lot of them are like, some of them are not people, are not they're not even human, they're like quadrupeds, but they have a whole society. Some are like AIs, some are like just, and the whole thing is about, it starts out with the concept of just like, if you can copy somebody's brain somewhere else, when you die you can go to like a digital heaven, right?
And then someone has an NFT of your brain,
and somebody has an NFT of your brain, and then they put it on the blockchain, and then you fucking, what is this, digital hell?
Probably.
So
it seems, where's that sci-fi movie? Because that seems like that's next, right?
Exactly. But then like in the concept of the book, it's like, well, there's also digital hells where they send people's like brain engrams when they die to suffer for all eternity, and there's kind of a war going on between the pro hell and anti hell.
So even
sides.
the death penalty isn't enough. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna make sure you go to hell after that.
And it's, the thing is that I think that I had a lot of kind of bad things to say about audiobooks for a long time in my life. I actually think that Ian Banks works better as an audiobook because you can't get hung up trying to read a verbose paragraph full of detail. Your brain can just kind of like click off if you're in the middle of a very ponderous section, and then kind of like click back on, if you're driving, and it's just like,
there's something to be said for someone who is that type of writer, who, when you hear someone say it with the right voice, that it's so mellifluous, even if you're kind of losing your way what's happening, it's just pleasant to hear.
It's one of the nice things about audiobooks is that like it doesn't stop, right? Is that like when you're reading a book, you have to exert effort to keep moving forward, whereas with an audiobook, it keeps moving forward regardless of what the hell you're doing.
That was kind of why I got off them, because I think I was reading stuff that was probably shouldn't be on audiobooks, and I was like, wait, what happened? I zoned out for the last 20 minutes. Fuck, and now the guy's fucking his sister or some shit. I don't know what's happening.
What do you read?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm reading, Jeff. I always read a nonfiction book and a fiction book. So I'm reading a 1,000-page biography on Alan Turing, which sometimes moves quickly and is fascinating, and other times is like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because this is the guy who literally invented computers and the idea of a computer.
Sure.
And some say single-handedly won World War II.
Cracking that Enigma code.
Yeah, I mean, you can watch the Imagination Game, the Benedict Cumberbatch starring version of his life, but like it just gets deeper and crazier than that, and it's fascinating because as much as like with computers, I kind of understand how they work.
Yeah.
This like really tracks the evolution from like philosophy into how philosophy created computing in a weird sort of way. But then at the same time, and this is lame, I forgot the name of it and the author. I was telling you about it last time I was here. There's this book my father-in-law gave me. It's a series of books. This guy is like an occult detective. I love that kind of shit, right?
Right.
But the difference here is that this guy is like, he's a tech engineer. and he gets suborned into this like MI6 that deals with supernatural stuff because he accidentally stumbled upon a basically formula that if he was to finish it would open up doors to the old ancient elder gods and old ones into our universe, and that's bad, right?
Sure.
So it turns out they're like, you got a choice, you can come work for us or we'll like kill you. So he's like, I guess I got a new job. And when we meet him, he's been doing it for a while, and it's just sort of him going up to the agency, and it's kind of like he's kind of almost like he's like a tech engineer guy who does James Bond type stuff, because like the idea of supernatural stuff, like one of his chosen weapons is a hand of glory, like where it's like the hand of a condemned murderer that they've like weaponized by using mathematics and stuff, by figuring out exactly how to make it work, and adjust it to their purposes. And they do things like they open up limited portals for things just for the dumber demons, and it's really
What's
cool.
it called?
I can't remember the goddamn name of it, Jeff.
Is it one of these?
Is it? I don't know. What are the names you got there?
Well, these are just like the covers of the books.
Oh,
so,
well, see, mine is like a collection of like 4 of them. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we'll figure it out.
I know one of them's called one of the books in the series is called The Jennifer Morgue.
Okay.
Which I guess I could look that up right now on my phone because I have technology and I could go, oh yeah, that's a thing that. Oh yeah, Charles Stross.
Okay.
They're called the Laundry Files.
The Laundry Files.
The organization is called to make people go, oh, that's nothing. Is called the Laundry.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, it's fun. There's a whole one where they're like somebody weaponizes the internet with the source code for Medusas.
Mm.
So they're fighting this guy who's like, basically they have to stay away from any security cameras because if they see you, they basically turn 1% of all your cells into silicon, and then you just pretty much like explode.
Gosh. Well, that doesn't sound very good.
Yeah, it's really good books though.
Well, I tell you what, let's jump into it. We actually can segue because one of the first things that we got this week was the first full trailer for the Halo series that is coming out.
How long has it been they've been talking about this? Like, how many different people have had the rights to do it, and then it said, well, we're not doing it?
The one that I remember was the District 9 guy. It was Neil Blomkamp. Had it for a while, and people were like, oh, that sounds good.
That sounds up his alley. But I think in the problem with the Halo ultimately in a running series is this very different from other sci-fi things? It's just... how much of a story is there really here?
Well, I mean, the story for Halo is kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of different things. You've got, some kind of AI stuff, some alien stuff. They don't really show very much of the Covenant or the alien stuff. And I know that, like, in the beginning, the Spartans, like what Master Chief is, they were, like, created as super soldiers to put down a rebellion.
Well, in the game, there's only Master Chief who's left. Well, and now you're like, oh, well, there are some other ones here.
Well, there was a prequel game called Halo Reach that explained why that was, but and then in later games they restarted that whole program, and so there's a whole bunch more Spartans.
So now it seems like there's like a bit of an arc with the guy who is Master Chief, who we presumably are probably not going to see his face unless they pull a Mandalorian season 2, and who is supposed to be absolutely under control, but when he comes in contact with some technology from the aliens, it starts to make him more aware of his individuality. So I think this feels like one of those things where you're like, nobody's a good guy except Master Chief.
So the whole thing because like the internet, Halo fans fucking hate this because you look at this, and because you can hear different parts of the story beat, they have obviously changed the original Halo story, and they're just like, I can't believe you changed something to make it work better as a TV show instead of a game where you spend 90% of your time just driving a Jeep and running into little chicken men that go but I don't give a shit because one of the things that my whole thing with Halo is that, like, I went back one day after like 4 or 5 of these motherfuckers, and I pulled up the wiki and started reading it, and I was like, there is a fantastically interesting lore to this game.
Well, they made a shit ton of books too.
Yeah, and none of it is in the game. Like, it's all just like you have to go read codex articles in order to figure this stuff out. And meanwhile, it's just like the game is just blasting and blasting and blasting and blasting. I
mean, there are those people who I guess who love the blasting and blasting enough that they got into the lore and all the behind the scenes stuff. And I don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
All I want is for them to make a decent Space Marine game, or a movie, and this
TV show.
This looks great. The effects are terrific. The designs look just like they do out of the game. I'm like, hey man, I mean, this might be dull and stupid, but from what I'm seeing here, you know, outside of the fact that weirdly it doesn't have a lot of A-list stars, I think Bokeem Woodbine is their biggest A-lister here. I mean, who cares? It's like, if the effects are this good and they get the action right and it builds on the mythology and manages to keep you guessing, you know, like if there's, I want this to be the type of show that has a cliffhanger ending that's plot oriented and not just situational.
So my whole thing, after living through the horrible internet hellscape that we live in, right, is that I have touched the Canon stove too many times and ruined shit for me because I'm mad that they didn't do the thing that I want and the thing that I want. And I did it last year last year with Dune. I was mad at Dune because it didn't do what I wanted.
Did you eventually come to peace with it?
No. I'll watch the second half, but probably not, because I feel like they just cut.
You're one of those Dune bros.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like they cut like 60% of the book out, and that was the interesting part to me, and they didn't explain anything and whatever. But who cares? Like, if you liked it, that's cool. Like, I want to like stuff, and so the thing is that I'm with you where I think that this looks really good. I don't give a shit whether it's faithful to the game or the comics or the book or the fucking D&D campaign rule set or whatever.
Yeah, just make a cool Space Marine show.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, so if it's good, like, that's the whole thing for me, is that I don't care, and that's great because it means that I can watch this show and just be like, oh, that was fun.
Something like that, that's like at its core of the stuff that most people are familiar with, it's not really about the mythology. It's about the iconography of it, right? You know, in the most base idea. Let that be the starting ground for the IP that gets people to watch a fucking thing so they can make a really cool Space Marine show. You don't need to stick to every last detail there. Switch stuff around. I'm all for it, man.
Wait, have you not been on the internet? I don't know. Yeah, so I will definitely give this a shot. I was gonna say, like, I was thinking about,
am I a monster now? Your fans gonna hate me? Like, how dare this? How dare this?
How dare you, sir?
Come in here,
sir? How dare
dismiss the rich and lurid mythology?
Did you know that Cortana isn't even blue like she is in the game? She's like a flesh color. What madness!
Are you serious? Is
yes,
that something? Isn't it the same voice actress though?
I don't think so. And it's not the same guy. They were like, why don't they?
I think it is though. I think it is the same voice actress.
I don't know. I don't give a shit. But like, I was thinking about when I was watching this, where it was like there were a lot of people that like hated Picard.
Yeah.
I was fine with Picard.
Picard's fine. I had issues with it, but like, that's the thing now. We're all like, if it's not exactly what I want it to be, or if there are things about it that bother me, then the whole thing is terrible.
That way lies madness.
And I was like,
that is madness.
I was like, there are things about Picard that bother me. There are things I wish they had done better, but ultimately I was like, yeah, it was fun for what it's worth. I think it's one of the weaker of the new Star Trek shows, but it's still a new Star Trek show, and a not half bad one. And hell, next season we get Q, so I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, speaking of Halo...
Oh, are we got more to say about Halo?
No, we're going into the news because Halo was made by a little company called Bungie that went on to make a little game called Destiny, and I like
Destiny. I played some Destiny.
Yeah,
I played Destiny too.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was basically just Halo with different graphics, but still,
it's now become such a thing I don't even want to have anything to do with it anymore. Or I never want anything to do with it in the first place. But anyway, 2 weeks ago. Earlier this year, Take-Two bought Zynga for like $3.6 billion, and then like 2 weeks ago, Microsoft bought Activision for like $70 billion or something.
Kind of following this, but it seems like there's this sudden, like, somebody snipped the red tape and it was just go.
Yeah.
And all these companies are like buying all the other companies, and now like I went from come on, I'm definitely getting another PlayStation to. Okay, now I might be getting an Xbox.
Well, so this week Sony bought Bungie for $3.6 billion.
Which is nowhere near as pertinent as the multiple stuff that is involved with Activision and IPs that I care more about.
Yes, so. $68.5 billion. Yeah. But I went and looked up like the net worth of companies, and it's like, Sony's got several, 100 or like teens of billions or something like that.
Yeah.
Microsoft is worth like $2 trillion.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're not a fucking game company. They every time you buy a computer, they get paid.
They
Like
could spend $3 billion right now on oneofus.net, my website, and like literally, it could be some guy who works there who just did it casually, pressed a button by accident, and that happened, and no one would even notice.
They're just like,
They'd
hey,
be like, except me, because my life would be so much better.
should we undo that?
I mean, whatever. Maybe it'd be worth something.
Fuck, man. Yeah.
There's only $3 billion.
It's only $3 billion.
But that's
Come on.
about how much Bungie costs, $3.6 billion,
Yep.
you know?
So, okay, this is a kind of interesting because Sony has bought a few other companies recently. They bought Bluepoint Studios. They bought Housemarque that makes Returnal. Bluepoint does a lot of the conversions. They did the Shadow of the Colossus and Demon Souls. They bought another company that does like a lot of porting stuff for them. But I feel like those companies had a very close relationship already with Sony. This is different though because Microsoft has been buying up these studios, Take-Two and Bethesda and all these things. I feel like they've been buying them, but they've been mainly letting them continue operating as a
Independent entity.
independent. Like they just want to put the Microsoft logo on and get a piece of the profits. But part of this deal is kind of to bring Destiny under control of Sony, even though it's already been confirmed that they are not going to be taking it off the PC or the Xbox.
Yeah, but they also issued a statement saying, well, I mean, who knows what the future will hold for future things that aren't currently in development.
Sure.
You're like, yeah. And the same shit happened with the Microsoft, where they're like, all the stuff they bought, like, no, we're not. They'll still be available for everything. I mean,
except for Starfield.
This round.
Yes. Well, yeah, I mean, with Microsoft and Activision, they said that the next 3 Call of Duty games will definitely be full platform, and then like, who knows what happens
After
next?
that, who can say what might happen?
I feel like maybe what is this? Is this the arms race now, where Sony's like, well, if you take Call of Duty away from us, guess who doesn't get to play Destiny anymore?
I mean, there is one interesting thing about that, although it's frustrating for people who are like, well, I just want to have one console and be able to play whatever I want to play, is that it means that maybe there's going to be more of a focus now, again, on these companies coming up with original IPs.
Well, that's actually a good segue, because one of the things that Sony has said is that they want to use the fact that Bungie actually knows how to launch one of the few successful live service games that just continues to get updates and stuff, to launch a bunch of live service games from Sony, because a lot of the stuff that Sony's been putting out, Spider-Man, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, these are all just like full single-player games.
Yeah.
And so Sony, I don't know that they really have the experience to put out a live service game, but everybody desperately wants a live service game because it's a cash register that just rings. Like, you don't have to, you don't just sell it one time. People keep buying cosmetics and expansion packs and stuff like
that with some stuff, like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, but I mean, that's Rockstar. Like, I'm thinking of something that's specifically Sony.
Only Sony.
Because like Microsoft has Halo, they have like Forza, they have Gears, like they have a bunch of games that people tend to play online, but Sony doesn't have like an online, either an adversarial game or an MMO.
Staple. Yeah.
They have DC Universe Online.
Yeah, which I played for like a month and was like, I like what you're trying to do with bringing in the stories from the comics and stuff, the events, but it's just another MMORPG and not a particularly impressive one,
Yeah.
Like some of the writing is good for it, but like other, gameplay, like it's just another one of these, I guess if your version, what you want from MMORPG is exclusively DC stuff, well, here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually don't think this is going to change much. It doesn't seem like, I get the feeling that Sony wants to, Sony has a different strategy for this. Like, they're not trying to just arms race this like studio acquisition thing, but it is interesting to see that moving forward, it seems like this is the thing now, is that like this is the way, because the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are fairly comparable in terms of power, and so we've gotten into a point now where like they're comparable in terms of power and they're comparable in terms of power of like a pretty standard gaming PC. So now it's like you have to have something to get the consumer to buy your thing.
Now you've done it.
Yeah,
because the gaming PC bros are going to be like, now hold on.
I spent 90 minutes yesterday trying to figure out how to get Dying Light 2 to work really well on my PC. So I don't have a lot of sympathy right now for people telling me, God, I miss the days of just like, I bought a gaming PC, and that was
what
a
you didn't
mistake,
do is
but-
buy a $7,000 video card. And then you'll be glad it's an investment, because Dying Light 2 is going to look so much better on that than it will on
for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So yeah, this seems to be what we're going to be doing moving forward. And then there's all these rumors that Sony is basically getting ready to put out their version of Game Pass, whether it's retooled PlayStation Now or whether they're going to launch it under a whole different banner.
Got to come up with something, because the closest they have is PS Now, which is like, this game came out a year and a half ago, and now you can get it for free until we stop letting you have it for free.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that live service thing
It'd be good.
breaks Sony out of their kind of like long build up, really bombastic and good release. Like I mean, most of the first party Sony games have been really good over the last few years. I mean, I don't like Last of Us 2, but that's just because I'm persnickety and contrarian and shit.
Loved it.
So, but like, Ghost of Tsushima and Spider-Man.
I cried,
and
Jeff.
I groaned and rolled my eyes. The people you're killing are people.
I'm still traumatized by that game.
They've got names. Steve? What happened to Steve? Oh my God, Steve! I know I fucking knifed Steve in the neck, but you didn't give me a button that wasn't a knife him in the neck button. You gave me one button and it was knife Steve in the neck.
You didn't like having no choice about becoming a monster.
That's right.
Okay, fair
if they'd
enough.
given me any choices, I would not have become a monster. But if you funnel me into the monster room and then you're like, what are you doing in here? And I'm like, there was one door. There was one door.
Jeff 10 years from now in front of a congressional hearing making the same argument for his own decisions.
True.
I had no choice. They made me do it.
They made me do it. Anyway, we also got news that apparently Jim Ryan, the boss of PlayStation, said that they're also considering buying some other companies as well.
Of course they are.
Which, again, I think just kind of calcifies like Xbox. I think that what happened, I mean, I've been doing this for so long, but I get the impression what happened here was that, Xbox decided to stop doing the like our internal studios can make games that can beat your internal studios game, and they started just being like, we're just gonna buy fucking Double Fine and Bethesda. And Sony was like, that's not gonna work. And then they were like, we just bought Call of Duty, and they're like,
oh shit,
who's for sale? Who needs money?
Look around.
I actually wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna put my chips on. I'm put my fucking NFT token on the table. You know who I think is prime for purchase by Sony?
Who's that?
IO Interactive.
Oh yeah, I guess they're just independent still, right?
They're
Have
independent.
they turned down previous offers from companies to get bought?
I don't believe so. They used to be part of Square Enix, and Square Enix booted them out, and then they went independent for Hitman 3, and then that turned out really well. And their new season of Hitman looks like it's going to be fantastic. And they're making that James Bond game. They're actually making potentially, if it does well, a trilogy of James Bond games. But I think that they're a small enough company, because I started looking around at like, who would Sony buy? And it's like, I don't think they've got the scratch to buy like Capcom or Konami or anybody like that.
Yeah.
But once you get like a tier below that, then it's like, somebody like Double Fine or like IO.
Sure.
Like a well-known but smaller, like Arcane Studios. Or no, Arcane is part of Bethesda, so they're already
I
owned by
wonder if part of
Microsoft.
Sony's strategy might be, and I saw this in one of the articles that you sent me about this, might be, to some extent, yes, these are successful game companies. It'd be nice to get a piece of that pie. And if this evolves into a arms race of who owns what IP, sure. But I wonder if, because Sony also is heavily involved in film, and we've certainly seen them struggle a bit with their IPs that they have rights to, but are they're trying.
Yeah.
If this is not just a continued part of that effort, like, oh, now we own these IPs, and if we want to now that like the barrier has been broken to, yes, it is possible to make a halfway decent video game movie.
Right.
That they're like,
well, they're making a Last of Us show. They're making a Last of Us show right now, and they've got other stuff,
which could be great.
I don't know.
But,
yeah. Did you watch that Uncharted movie? Did you get to watch that Uncharted movie?
No, of course not. Think about it for like another 2 months, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he thinks I'm much cooler than I am.
Well, I don't know when anything comes
They
out.
flew me out to LA for the premiere. Me and Tom Holland, we're like buddies now.
Look, I have the dates memorized for when every game comes out this month, even like the indie titles and shit, but like I know nothing about when movies come out.
Yeah,
It's
they're
like,
making me play Spider-Pig in the next movie, so that's cool.
Good
for me, yeah.
We got some more. We got a lot of Sony stuff this week because in in addition to that acquisition, we got our first big like 30-minute. We got some Gran Turismo at one of the previous states of plays, but we got like a 30-minute state of play deep dive just on Gran Turismo 7.
People love this shit. And okay, I'm not a gearhead, right? I know you're not really a gearhead either.
No.
But I remember when, like, I think it was when these games first started coming out, they were like the showcase for as good as graphics and like the quality of like frame rate and stuff got on Sony.
Yes.
I was like, didn't care about cars at all, but god damn, it was gorgeous. And you were like, yeah, I buy the Gran Turismo games because it's the showcase game. And admittedly, I look at this and go like, yeah, it continues to be just, this is gorgeous. It looks great. But now the field is so wide open with games, I'm just like, I just don't care that much anymore. I mean, like and now it's gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, this is for gearheads.
Yes.
Now.
Well, also, it's one of those things where, I mean, it's just what you said. I don't know if a lot of people understand this. I do because of having to play like 10 video games a week, but like the density of game releases has increased dramatically over the last 5 years. It's like, I don't have time to spend fucking 40 hours trying to learn how to shift a
do you remember what
fucking
that was
Aston
like?
Martin.
You're just like, well, if you don't know how to shift the gear from first into second properly, you're never going to fucking even win the basic level. It's been like hours and hours just trying to get past the beginner levels to perfectly time those things. And I was like, okay, there's no way in hell I would do that.
In the first game, you had to do the licensing before you could even start racing. You had to pass the licensing exams.
Yes.
And they were horrible. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because, quite frankly, it's above my pay grade and I don't really give a shit.
If you love Gran Turismo, great. I get it. It's probably the best, it's probably the most realistic racing. It's not even probably, it is the most realistic racing game.
I think
here's everything, here's the actual facts, here's how this shit actually works, and here's as close as we can get to the experience of driving one in a video game. But if you don't care about that stuff, then you don't care about Gran Turismo.
Yeah, the last one was a little bit more arcadey, and it was pretty poorly received for that reason because people that like Gran Turismo
the brand is about exactness. It's Microsoft Flight Simulator for cars.
Yes. But yeah, this is like, it's so detailed. It's so ridiculously dry and detailed, and like, just, look at the graph for the performance meter and what you can do if you tweak out the fucking suspension.
You can drive the James Bond car, though.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure that I'll end up playing it for Rage Select at some point, but like, there's details here that I would just be repeating what was in the video. I have no commentary to add to the like, oh, you could do this. Like, look at it's been like 10 minutes talking about how rain works. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. Rain makes it harder to drive.
Great graphics, guys. We're proud of you and what you've accomplished. Not for me.
Yep. I will say, though, one of the things I talked about was using the ray tracing on the PS5 to make like the reflections and the light coming up, like hitting the cars look good. It does look really good.
Like I said, graphics look terrific.
Yeah.
They always look terrific in a Gran Turismo game. You can always count on that.
Yep. So I don't know if you want to see more. I mean, there's like, just like 30 minutes of this. So.
I'll be honest, watching it, like I'm like, as good as it looks, I'm still like, I feel like at this point I shouldn't be able to tell the difference between it and reality. It's not there.
There's a few points where it gets close. Like it, and a lot of it is like in the replays, watching it go by with a little bit of like speed blur on it, and you're just like, whoa.
It's still not quite there, though.
Not quite. Close, but not quite.
It's as close as we've gotten.
Yeah. Much more interesting than that was the fact that we finally got a full-on Ghostwire Tokyo showcase, which I've been ready for Ghostwire Tokyo since they announced it. It was like a Bethesda press conference.
I was actually on one of these when we talked about it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because for a long time they've just been showing trailers of it, and the trailers have been really controlled, and I think I figured it out. It always looked to me like the game was on rails.
Yeah.
And I think it's because since the characters, they never show the character strafing. They never really show the character doing much more than moving forward very slowly, and the attacks are all coming from hands that are dead center in the screen, which is all completely different than what you would normally see in, like, I don't know, a Battlefield trailer, right? But here they actually showed it off, and it's like an open world game where you're running around Tokyo, you're fighting these fucking Japanese ghosts, you got super Doctor Strange hand shooty powers, some kind of like Shadow Warrior.
You're possessed by a ghost with its own like it's got its own shit it wants to do, but it is helping you.
Yeah.
So, but it's what's giving you those powers. But you know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
What is that game where you're like, you get superpowers and you're jumping around? You can jump around the city.
Infamous?
No, there's another one that's like it, though, that's more brutal and violent.
Prototype.
Yes. It's like Prototype crossed with Devil May Cry, where it's like kind of the character design stuff from Devil May Cry and the more Japanesiness of it. But the way that the plays where it looks like you're just sort of like sandboxing through the city with all these things with little mini missions to do stuff. But it like gradually like putting points into your powers. It's like element based powers.
Yeah.
Trying to make it sound like cooler than what it is. It's like, dude, come on. Like
they're
literally
just guns.
Every game has element based.
They're just guns.
Like, I'm like, it's the graphics are okay, but I'll admit that this is the type of sandbox game I usually get a lot of pleasure out of. So I can totally see playing the shit out of it. Plus, I love J horror and J folk horror. You know, like that. Like when you really get into the, you know, like the split mouthed girl and shit like that. You're like, oh, that stuff is
big scissors lady.
Yeah,
little kid with an umbrella.
That shit is cool, man.
I also like the fact that there's just enemies in here that look like the little, like, you know, in Halloween when they used to do that thing where they would take a Tootsie Pop and put a tissue over the top and then put a rubber band around it and draw little ghost eyes on it.
Yeah.
There's totally an enemy in this game that looks exactly like that thing. There's also a bunch of Slendermen walking around for some reason.
Slenderman everywhere. You knew this was going to happen. We'd eventually be lousy with Slenderman.
It's a Slenderman from top to bottom. So yeah, I mean, we could go. We can't go into detail because there's too much news to deal with, and I have to yell about NFTs for like 40 minutes.
Cool enough. I mean, who knows? It might be pretty fun. So there's nothing groundbreaking here, but it looks like my kind of game.
I'll tell you what I really like about it. There was 3 things that I really liked about it that I thought stood out. Oh, I did like this concept that they were talking about where there's like areas that are like distorted that you have to kind of get through.
All Silent Hilly, so
they look like PT.
Yeah,
like the PT demo. Where you're just kind of walking around and there's all kinds of crazy shit happening. But some of the graphics are okay looking, but like the ray tracing plus Tokyo neon looks great.
That part looks great. Yeah.
Anytime they're like out in the downtown areas with like water on the ground and stuff. I also was trying to think of if there's ever been an open world game that is in an open world Tokyo. I know that the Yakuza games are like in specific districts. They're in like, that takes place in Kamurocho, which is a specific district. But like, you know, here it's like they've got the big crosswalk with the stuff in the city center, and you can like fly up on top of buildings and shit. Like, it looks bigger and more expansive. But I think the last game that Tango Softworks did was The Evil Within 2, which was also open world.
Good game.
Criminally underrated. I fucking love that game.
I think the first one was just ridiculously time it just perfect hard at points that people were like, and I know I was like, okay, no, enough, that's too much. But then I got talked into playing the second one. I was like, okay, this is what I was expecting from the first one. This is really fun and super creative. Yeah. So I mean, if they did that makes me even more want to play this because they got the horror right with that game. You know? Absolutely. And even though this is definitely much more themed towards, you know, very traditional cultural Japanese horror, I like that stuff. I don't know if it's gonna, you know, respond like globally to people as much, but we'll see. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping it does well. I'm hoping it does really well because I like Tango Softworks.
Character models feel very last generation.
They're okay.
Yeah.
They're not great. But then, I don't know, some of this too is like, you know, I really need a 4K monitor to watch trailers on because like I've seen a lot of games where they look like okay on my monitor and then I put them in HDR 4K on the TV and it's like,
great.
Oh, that's fucking wonderful. Like, yeah, so.
Jeff signing those checks from the 4K TV, people.
Actually, I have a brand new monitor coming on Sunday. So Dell had one that was on sale for $300. It's like, does all the things that I spent so much money on a computer. Now I have to spend more money on a monitor so that the computer can run the monitor.
That's how they get you.
Anyway, Ghostwire Tokyo looks good. I highly recommend everybody go watch this. They have like little interviews at the end too. They're pretty good. It was kind of weird though how they were doing these interviews and everybody has these weird, clear face masks.
Yeah, that's very strange. I mean, I get it. They're like, oh well, they want to do a really cool looking interview, and it's weird to watch someone talk where you can't see their mouth on a thing where you're supposed to be paying attention. So they were like, well, we need something we can see your face.
It's kind of interesting because it's like, I mean, I won't spend too much time on these face masks. Is that they're open at the top, so like your breath goes out the top.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that like, why didn't we just do this at the beginning? Like,
it looks like they just scotch taped them to the side of their head.
To your beard.
I'm like, what is that? But no.
Give me those. Anyway, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right,
let's see. From there, we have another PlayStation story. This is just kind of a heads up. PlayStation, there's been a lot of weird talks about there's been rumors for a long time that PlayStation and Discord have some kind of like talks going on.
Yeah.
For a long time there, I think people thought that PlayStation might buy Discord and then start using it as like the official messaging service on PlayStation. I don't know if this is part of that, but this week you can now connect your PlayStation account to Discord, which means that when you're playing a game, people in the Discord server can like see which game you're playing.
You can opt in to like, yes, show that I'm currently not on Discord.
Yes.
Because I'm too busy playing this game.
I don't know. Everybody in my Discord, some of them just have like really weird statuses, and I'm like, is that a video game? I've never heard of that before. But yeah, if you're on a Discord and you want to do that, if you want to be on the Rage Select Discord, you can always come on if you go to Patreon.
And we can see what games you're playing, and then we can make fun of you for it.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Yes, we can.
Sad news. It appears that the current, I mean, this is just, I don't know, this is mostly kind of like expected, but the global supply chain issues, chip shortage or whatever, Sony is saying like is not going to be fixed anytime soon.
It sucks. Yeah.
It appears actually that like, it seems that from what I got out of reading this article, it seems that what Sony and most of the other companies are doing nowadays is basically like they've got their new consoles in production. They're going to trickle some out over the course of the year, but they're really stockpiling them for the holidays, where they're able to try to flood the market to a point where the scalpers cannot get enough of them and people can buy them as Christmas gifts for people. So
that makes sense.
But yeah, if you were expecting this summer for there to be like you could walk into a Best Buy and buy a PlayStation 5.
I get like once every 2 months a note. You have, because I'm on all the Sony lists, like, okay, you can get a Sony now. Here's your one chance. You got like 2 days.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have that money.
You don't have $500 just sitting around.
$500
just laying around.
So thanks, but I wish I could pass it on to someone else, but they don't let you do that.
Could you let me know like a month ahead of time, and I don't know, I could like get some shit together or sell some blood, get a PlayStation.
No, now, Jeff, now.
Yeah. So
you don't need that car.
I don't. I'm not a gearhead. I drive a Honda Civic.
You don't need that car. Get a PlayStation. Get me a PlayStation.
I have a PlayStation.
You get me one.
Oh, get you a PlayStation.
Sure.
Sell my car and get you a PlayStation.
When you say it like that, it does seem a little silly, but,
Okay.
Compassion is important, Jeff.
Is that what that means? Have you no heart, sir? Sell your car. Buy me a console. I want to play Ghostwire Tokyo.
You have a car and a Sony PlayStation.
What?
I just have a car, right? This is like gift to the Magi. I'll get you something nice for your car, and you'll get me a Sony PlayStation. I don't think that's how that works.
I don't think that's how it works. I got you an air freshener, but I sold my car to buy you a Sony PlayStation.
I cut my nose off to buy you a air freshener. I can't smell it.
I can't smell the air freshener anymore. All right. Speaking of horrible tragedies, it's time to talk more about Battlefield 2042, which has been nothing but a Titanic shit show since it launched, and does not appear to be getting to be any less of a shit show anytime soon.
Yeah, it appears that like more and more now these games are coming out and they're like, fuck it, just put it out and we'll fix it in post.
Yeah. So the first season of Battlefield 2042 was supposed to start, and it has been delayed to the summer, because why would you start like one of these promo battle pass like, hey, everybody play your weekly thing and get the bonuses, here's some costumes. You can't sell people things on a game that is no fun to play because it's still fucking broken.
Sure.
I've been talking about this for fucking 6 weeks now, but like I have absolutely no sympathy at all for I have sympathy for DICE, the team, and the people that work there, but like as a company, EA shoved this half-baked piece of shit out the door, and like we know that's no good.
Yeah.
In fact, EA had an earnings call, which last week we had a story that they were talking about making this free to play like 3 months after it came out, in order to shore up the earnings call. But part of the earnings call was This is so gross. It was Andrew Wilson talking about how like here's the quote. As much as I hate to admit it, DICE is the studio that has been able to do this a number of times now and really go back and rebuild at the core and re-engage the community. As long as we do that in conjunction with a committee, that's what the studio was so great at doing. It's like this studio has so much experience at launching a fucked up broken game and then spending another year fixing it to the point where it's like, why would you ever buy Battlefield on day one from this point forward? Like, if this studio's so good at fixing the broken half-finished game,
let them do it before you put it out.
Exactly. Maybe finish the fucking game before you put it out the door.
That's frustrating.
Did you know? As of right now, that Battlefield 2042 has fewer players than Battlefield 5, the game that came out several years back, and Battlefield 1, the one that came out like 6 years ago or whatever. Like, it's literally the last two Battlefield games have more concurrent players than the one that came out in November.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not great for Battlefield 2042.
Apparently not, but apparently, I mean, look, it's not up to me to tell people how to live their life, Chris, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to.
It's the fucking internet.
Yeah, I mean, you have
somebody's got to tell you.
That's what you do.
Like, don't buy this. Like, do not buy the game. Don't put up with this. Go play Halo or like Call of Duty or like those games are broken too, but like they're less broken.
Like, who are these people? Who's buying this game?
Go play Overwatch or fucking Fortnite or something. Like, there are other games that you can go online and shoot people in. Battlefield 5, you can be playing that.
Right.
Like, this, I hate it.
Don't support them for their fucked up business decisions.
Here, let me boil it down. Just don't pre-order the next Battlefield game.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be able to. There's no shortage of Battlefield copy CDs in the store. You can just buy one the day it comes out. But what you can't do if you pre-order is then get your money back if the day that it comes out, everybody's like, oh, this is a fucked up piece of shit.
If you're like, I got to wait 9 months to actually play the fucking thing.
Right.
Yeah.
There is no pre-order bonus that is worth you wasting your money to roll the dice and like to get a game to get a half-baked cake and then have to wait a year to get the actual thing.
Stare at it.
Yeah, like, dude, fuck that. That's not how this works. That's not how buying things work. You don't buy something half done and then wait for the company. When I bought my Honda Civic, it wasn't fucking half broken.
The cake is a lie, Jeff.
Exactly. I just don't pre-order shit. Don't pre-order or at the very least, I know that ship has sailed for a lot of people. Don't pre-order Battlefield games specifically because you can't get your money back from the pre-order and you won't know whether they've duped you until the day it comes out. Because now we have multiple years of experience with the fact that like these companies will put out a broken game.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
A game that they know is broken to hit the street date because not doing so would lose the money.
They're just like, well, this is our schedule, and if we get off the schedule, we'll lose money. So we'll just put it out, and people will buy it anyway.
Yeah,
and and we'll just promise that it'll all work out. It'll be okay eventually.
That's not to mention that like EA is so bad at this that several years ago they put out Titanfall 2 like a week before they put out Battlefield 1, and then they were like, why are the multiplayer numbers for Titanfall 2 so low? And it's like, because you put out two multiplayer games like a week apart from each other. What the hell? Just don't pre-order, man.
Feels like they got overstressed. There's too many departments and not enough people talking to each other.
I think it's just fucking Android Wilson making sure that shit gets put out because they've got investors. You got to get the investors. Speaking of investors, though, they literally did not talk about the actual concrete numbers that Battlefield 2042 did at their investor earnings call.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah. They kind of just said it didn't meet expectations, but everything else that we put out over the last year has kind of made up for that. EA has Apex Legends, which is a battle royale game that makes a shitload of money. Yeah, so
people seem to love it.
They've got the Star Wars games. So yeah,
that's a license to print money. Yeah. I guess they've got the Force Awakens 2 coming out soon or whatever it is.
Jedi Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, that's
2.
It.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Force Awakens 2 came out.
Yeah, that was sorry. This
long time ago.
I can't keep track. There's a lot of Star Wars shit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't.
Just like that new show, The Book of.
I kind of like that show.
It was fine, but then there's that point, episode 4, they're like, this isn't working out. Let's just go back to the Mandalorian. That you're like, wait a minute, what is happening? Okay, this is actually better now, so I'm not like fighting it, but at the same time, it's like, this is fucking weird, dude. It's been 2 episodes and Boba Fett is not in it.
Oh, I haven't gotten that far yet. So, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I don't care about it that much. Let's see. From there, it's time to start talking about everybody's favorite topic, Chris.
Grogu?
NFTs.
Oh, man. Okay.
And non-fungible tokens. Don't funge them tokens, boy.
I'm not funging anything,
Don't funge them.
I'm not getting any tokens. I'm not funging them or non-funging them. I don't even thoroughly understand them, Jeff. And I feel like the general gist I've gotten from you and other people is, fuck this.
It's a scam. So yeah, part of the earnings call when asked about NFTs, Andrew Wilson said that basically they're not making any concrete moves into that space, which they probably were going to do that. But Ubisoft's NFT experiment has been a horrible debacle. Like, nobody will buy any of that. They gave away a whole bunch of them, and like nobody has bought any of them.
Right.
So it's just like useless. But he basically talked about what he said. The way I look at it is collectability is really built on 4 key metrics. It's around high quality content, it's scarcity, it's proof of authenticity, and it's around a group of people that will find value in the content. Whether that's part of NFTs in the blockchain, well, that remains to be seen. I think the way that we think about it is we want to deliver the best possible player experience we can, and so we'll evaluate that over time. But right now, it's not something that we're driving hard against. Let me take this opportunity to remind everyone out there that there is absolutely no reason that if you wanted to do exactly those things that he just said, that you had to use the blockchain at all, or Ethereum, or crypto, or any of that stuff. You could totally, and companies have for years been making like, you know what's rare is like that sword that all the paladins need in World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, people have been making money off that shit for years.
To the point where you'll grind the raid in order to get those swords, and then you go to a third-party website and sell them.
It's literally people who make their whole living off of just grinding World of Warcraft and selling shit like that.
Yeah. There were gold farmers like in fucking Asia that would just sit there grinding out currency for the...
Not bad work if you can get it, quite frankly.
But the whole point of this, the whole thing I'm going to just keep yelling about for years, is that there is no concept that involves NFTs, crypto, or blockchain that could not already be executed without buying into this shady as fuck system that started as a way to fucking buy drugs on the internet anonymously. Like, there is no reason to do that.
I support that part.
Yeah, I'm glad that EA. Well, then they shut down Silk Road, so you can't do that anymore.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm glad that EA is not jumping on that bandwagon. I'm sure that if it becomes more stable, they probably will.
It's hard to, but I think I can tell you right now, I mean, I have more of an understanding of what's going on with tech stuff than your average person by a significant margin. But I still don't really understand what's going on with NFT and blockchains. I have the basic idea. I know just enough to know this feels like it's not going to last. This feels like more and more, I'm reading more stories about, somebody scammed a bunch of people than I am about, look at all these people who did really well from it. So
the thing is that the people, the evangelist, I actually did some digging the other day for this. I found a comment section with a completely unhinged blockchain enthusiast that was like, this is a war and we will replace all of you dumb fucking hippies and we'll murder you if necessary. Like, the people that don't want to get in on this system, you will die.
Strong argument for not getting involved.
The thing is that the people that are evangelists for this are so aggressive that, like, it can't just be ignored. You have to stand up and be a loud nuisance and point and say, fuck off, nerd. Like, get the fuck out of here. Don't bring your Monopoly money into my World of Warcraft. It was fine before. I mean, it wasn't fine, but like, you're just trying to introduce like a more difficult way of doing something that was already bullshit in the first place.
Yeah.
But
that's more or less my take on it. Yes.
Yeah. So, all right, we're by no means anywhere near done.
I didn't think that we were.
Team 17, the studio behind Worms, that's like an indie publisher and did stuff.
Yeah.
They announced that they were going to be doing some NFTs.
That didn't last.
No, they actually gave. They kind of gave like some models from Worms to this company called Reality Gaming that set up like. This is an art project, which, so basically just took it and they were skinning them in different ways because this is what NFTs are. You have to be able to generate a bunch of unique items. So you just have to like find a way to like make them all subtly different, which generally involves making them all ugly in different ways.
So they're like selling these for what? Like couple grand, the equivalent of a couple grand for someone that now you're the only person who can use this one thing. And I'm like, didn't you make more money with that shit, that other scam you were doing where it's like, hey, $2.99 if you want to look like fucking Captain America and a thing.
The biggest problem with the other big problem with crypto in general is that like one Ethereum will be like $2,000. So it'll be like, oh, I want to buy your dumb worm, your rainbow worm.
Yeah.
And it's like it's the equivalent of like $100 US. So it's like you need to buy this for 0.000000125 Ethereum, and it's like. No, that doesn't. Anyway, so what happened immediately after they announced this was a bunch of the sub partners of Team 17 got online and was like, no, thank you.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Aggro Crab that made a game called Going Under that was like it was actually interesting. It was a roguelike. It was you're in an office and you have to go to these randomly generated cubicle things filled up with like weird monsters and then use like office equipment to beat them.
That sounds like fun. Also,
it was.
I love the name of their company. That's
Aggro Crab. Yeah, it's good. Yep, they came online and they, they said we believe NFTs cannot be environmentally friendly, used for blah blah blah. They said it's basically just like a grift.
I still don't understand the whole environmentally friendly, like a dangerous part of NFTs and blockchains, but don't explain it to me.
I will explain it to you over the break.
Okay, I do not care that much.
Platonic that makes ukulele. They came out and kind of said the similar thing. And Ghost Town Games that made Overcooked, which is wildly popular, kind of came out and said the same. They also just said like, hey, don't go like hammer on like the programmers at Team 17.
Right. This wasn't us, man. We had nothing to do with this. This was the money nerds, not the cool video game nerds.
The whole thing was outsourced to another company, so it wasn't even like they were doing this shit internally.
Right.
So less than 24 hours later, they said, no, just JK, we're not actually going to do that. And that's good. There was enough shame. The internet finally used shaming people to do a good thing, which is shut down this stupid fucking project.
Someone out there right now is screaming about how they just got canceled by a bunch of libtards. So
yeah, well, if you're selling NFTs, I think you should get canceled forever. So, but yeah. So that happened, and it ended up with. God, they're so ugly.
They really are.
So fucking ugly.
Why would you want to spend $2,000 on that?
I don't know. I don't even know how much they are. That could be $5, but it doesn't matter because you're trading your real money for imaginary bullshit.
Yeah.
Like
you're just basically going, here, take my money for no real thing that you get in return.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that if there was a company that was selling something. Not once have I ever looked at a thing that is an NFT thing and gone like, ooh, I want that. Like not from the fucking Bored Apes to the Worms guys to the Rainbow or the Ghost Recon Breakpoint helmets. It's all just like none of this is worth it. Like you will get my money when you present me with something where I'm just like, ooh. Would I compromise my morals because that's so fucking cool and I want it so bad?
I don't see you doing that.
I don't think I will.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was talking in the Discord the other day. I had a really good question that I feel like brings all of this into perspective, right? Like, if Ubisoft believes that cryptocurrency is the future of gaming, and because they're minting NFTs, then Ubisoft would allow you to buy their games using cryptocurrency. If you could give them made up money for, and then get their games
of course
in return.
They don't do that.
Yeah, of course they don't.
Yeah.
Of course you can't buy a fucking copy of Assassin's Creed.
Because they all know it's just a fucking scam right now.
Yeah.
It's not going to last.
Yes.
And they're like, we're going to make every penny we can off this, off of tech people out there who believe it, until everyone goes, oh, wait, this is not a thing.
Yep.
Or until the government gets involved and says, yeah, you can't do that anymore.
My prediction for when this is all going to go tits up is because the NFT community keeps minting other people's content onto the blockchain, and you can't remove things from the blockchain once they're there.
It's next to impossible.
Right. You can substitute it. Like you can take that link and like make it point somewhere else and say no. But the thing is that I think I've already seen some examples of this, that what's going to happen is that one of these scamsters is going to mint something from a company like Nintendo with zero chill and a billion lawyers, and it's going to be like, guess what? Nintendo will sue you forever.
Oh yeah,
they will never stop suing you.
Yeah,
they will sue every part of this until you shut down the entire blockchain and collapse the market because somebody put Mario on the blockchain, and they're like, take it off. They're like, well, you can't, man. That's not how the technology works. Once you should have minted it. They're like, no.
Then guess what? Your parents are now an NFT to Nintendo, to that guy, because like, we own them, we own everyone you've ever met.
Yeah.
You're like
no, we're gonna take you to court until you take this off. And you're like, well, you can't come off. And it's like, well, then burn the entire thing to the ground, because we're not going to allow you to take Mario and put it somewhere and sell it. We're going to allow somebody to sell the rights to Mario out from under us, even if it's your made-up Monopoly bullshit.
Yeah.
No.
And that's happening everywhere with people getting busted going like, and successfully selling NFTs to stuff that they have no rights to sell. And people are buying them. You're like, they're just that dumb, Jeff.
Yep. And we'll actually wrap it up with this last story that was talking about, this is not technically gaming, but it's about NFTs, and I like to fucking yell about them, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, you are mad about this. You're incensed.
I am. So OpenSea is basically one of the biggest NFT marketplaces where you can go and actually buy this horseshit. They had a tool that would allow you to mint an NFT for free. So it should cost a certain amount of Ethereum to create a token. That's what minting is, and that fee is called gas. That's what they to process the Ethereum transaction. You have to pay what's called a gas fee. So basically, with this, you could mint an NFT for free, and then the gas fee was added on to the cost, so that whoever bought it had to essentially pay for the minting of it. Well, what OpenSea found out was, oh, gee whiz, Chris, what do you think happened? Do you think the people were just using this free tool to just mint thousands and thousands of NFTs that weren't theirs or were totally just somebody else's?
They were like, I own Mario now.
Sure, yeah. So there's a whole thing where they've changed it so that now you can create up to 5 collections with 50 NFT per collection using the feature. This has enraged the NFT makers,
of course,
and it also turns out that
who seem to be easily enraged. To be fair.
Yes,
they'll kill all of us.
Yes, and that, as with anything else, if you had to expend actual money to do this scam, you would have to be smarter about it. Like if you couldn't do it with spam doesn't cost anything to send, right?
Sure.
So you can just spam to your heart's content. If you had to spend like a penny for every email that you sent, it would cut down on spamming. Well, now that you can't just create infinite NFTs for free, it's like it was noted that a lot of the shit that was on OpenSea was a scam. It was like actual fraudulent scams, not like NFTs are a scam, but like it was actually like trying to wrest other people's artwork and then sell it for a profit to somebody else. Like, just there was a lot of bad shit going down on OpenSea because they created this platform to let you do this, to imagine bullshit and then sell that bullshit for money with no.
This whole thing seems so short-sighted. I think of people like our buddy Matt Frank, who, much like other artists I know, is constantly going like, great, here's another site online that's selling my art on t-shirt and posters without ever having gotten the rights from me or paying me a penny. That is like the internet filled with that.
Do you know?
So why did you guys think this would all be like, oh, everyone honor system?
Well, no. Do you know what the response from the community is when you complain about that sort of thing?
What's that?
They say, well, Matt Frank, you should have minted all of your artwork as NFTs yourself to keep other people from minting them. As if you cared about who owned your artwork on the blockchain, you should have spent the gas to mint all of your own NFTs.
So either way, it's like buy into our network or go fuck yourself.
Right.
Because we already run everything secretly behind the scenes.
Because there is no administration of the blockchain, it means that there's very few places for you to go to try to get somebody to take your shit off if somebody else minted it. Or you have to engage with this fucked up system yourself.
That's such bullshit, man.
And in order to quote unquote like protect yourself.
Something is like an internet mafia.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I don't get tired of being mad about it because it's one of those few things where it's not morally ambiguous. It's just a fucking scam.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate it. I actually talked about this. I yelled about this kind of like I'm doing today 2 weeks ago. And like 3 or 4 days after that podcast went up, somebody tried to hack one of my online gaming accounts. And I can't help but think that it might not have been somebody who heard this, tried to find one of my old passwords and found one of the websites that was using an old password of mine and then tried to log in to like either use that site to spend money. But I work from home, so I got a thing like, hey, there was a new login to your account. And I was like, no, there's not. Boop, boop, boop. It's off now. Anywho, who knows? It could have just been a jackass. But we're going to take a break. We come back.
No more NFTs?
No, I'm not. That's not true.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
Jeff will still be mad.
We'll see you in a minute, everybody. Are we done talking about NFTs?
Yes.
No, we are not done talking about NFTs. Welcome back, everybody.
I hope you want more NFTs because we got more NFTs for you. We're selling now. Jeff being mad about NFTs as an NFT.
As an NFT. I love it. You know, sometimes the internet is able to focus all of its collective horse shit where it belongs. You know, season finale of Game of Thrones, or series finale of Game of Thrones, it was like, oh, that was bad, and we all agree. Like, nobody's...
Even some of the actors have come out and gone like, I really regret that
Rise
was
of Skywalker, nobody's...
I know one guy who thinks it's great. I know one guy.
I got some NFTs to sell them. So, okay, we have a few more of these. Last week, there was a project called Blockverse that came out. Actually, I think this was a little while back, but basically, this was going to be. We haven't even gotten into this, but like one of the things that's starting to come up, and it's only a matter of time for one of the big publishers tries to do this, is what's called play to earn. There's a game called Axie Infinity that does this, where it's like, as you play the game, you earn cryptocurrency, and then you can basically cash it out. So the president of Square Enix, in his like New Year's fucking internal remarks, said some bullshit about this, where it's like, you know, players, they're all just playing, but they're just wasting their time just playing to have fun. Like, we need to give them the opportunity to play and then like get money for doing things in the video game, and we want to do that using blockchain. So this was a project, and I don't know how the fuck, actually I do, but how the fuck this would ever be allowed or legal, because Microsoft owns Minecraft.
I mean, it's a Wild West right now, Jeff.
Yeah.
You know.
But basically, the idea of this was that you were going to buy, your NFT was going to be like a skin in Minecraft, like, and then you were going to log on to a private Minecraft server where you could essentially P2E, play to earn, the cryptocurrency that, you know, was doing this. So people bought into this. And then it gets really fucking shady, because apparently there was a lot of static that came back to the development folks, and so they immediately shut down the Discord. They delayed the launch of the server that was supposed to be doing this, and everybody was like, oh, it's a rug pull, which is what they're calling it now. And then but then they didn't all the way go away, and they were like, no, we just have to like. There was a lot of like hate coming in. They call it FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt about the project. And so we had to like pause the Discord server, and then we're trying to get everything together to launch this thing. But just like, no, it's not a scam, man. Like, no, it's totally going to happen.
There was a lot lot of discord about it, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. It's good. No, it's good.
So it didn't happen, I guess is what
it has not yet happened. But yeah, after the launch, we went straight to work, continuing development on phase 2 of future expansion for Blockverse. In the midst of our continued development, we failed to realize and contain all the FUD that was going on through a multitude of issues, including but not limited to gas fees being high, Minecraft server not being able to hold everyone all at once, and the lack of utility of $ diamonds. Eventually things started spiraling out of control. I think that the diamonds are like the currency that they're creating from this project.
Okay. I was wondering about that.
You earn. I think that's what it is. I really don't give a shit to look too far into this. This is mostly just like most of these stories I feel like are just me pointing out to you, like, if one of these projects comes at you and is like, hey man, you could come play Minecraft but get money from it, and all we need is for anything with the word blockchain, crypto, or NFT in it that wants just a little bit from you up front, any amount of money, or even for you to create a wallet up front.
Yeah.
This is scam 101. This is the Nigerian prince. Like, you know, there's all these diamonds in this Minecraft server. We could get them out, but you just got to give us some crypto so that we can get you on the blockchain and get those diamonds out of that server. Like, God damn, man.
I mean, at the very least, this form of natural selection isn't taking out like innocent grandmas and grandpas who don't know any better because they're not involved with it. They wouldn't be able to do that.
That's true.
Right? It's only taking people who think they're smart.
Yeah, yeah. So don't do it. Don't fucking do it.
I know. I'm going by everything you're telling me. So I'm like subscribed to the Jeff channel.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. Like maybe someone will send me a long message after this, be like, all right, Chris, here's where Jeff is wrong and what you need to know about it.
No, they'll do that.
And I'll come back to the next show and be like, Jeff, here's what you don't understand about it.
And then I'll be like, how much Ethereum do you own now, Chris? And you'll be like, oh, okay.
I'm very rich right now on paper.
Well, again, I've stated this before and I'm going to say it again. The thing about this whole fucking system is that you can't get the made up currency out unless somebody puts dollars in. Yeah. So it is really like these people desperately need you to put dollars into this system so that they can take those dollars and run away. Like otherwise, because you can't spend fucking Ethereum at 7-Eleven, like you have to have it be dollars.
You have a Rage Select Discord. What if you sold NFTs of unique like logos for people and stuff? Like they have like they can get their image and no one else can use that image?
Never.
No?
No. Well, because the thing is I would have to then have a wallet and then I would be opening myself to this ecosystem that is basically just a way for people to steal things from you.
I see.
So who knows? Speaking of people on Discord servers stealing stuff from you, this is kind of adjacent, but there was an old Twitch or YouTuber, Twitch streamer, game streamer named Ice Poseidon that was kicked off of various platforms for some shady shit in the past. Came back a few weeks back and basically created his own cryptocurrency, which was called what was it, like QC coin or something like that. CX coin, and it was supposed to be a cryptocurrency that was specifically made to tip streamers, right? So you instead of tipping with bits or dollars, right? I mean, the thing is that Twitch already has a system to do that. You buy the bits, you tip with the bits, then the people cash at the bits, and they get money that you can use at the store. Yeah. Yes, I've done it. I do it still.
Like, but what if we, instead of letting these people get paid with money, we pay them with crypto coin, so that way they get involved in the crypto coin. We get more people involved in the crypto coin scenario thing, and you know, this guy's history is. You say shady, I say like. Why isn't this guy in jail? He's obviously kind of garbage.
Oh, yeah.
But people bought it, right?
Oh, yeah.
They went
100%.
Oh, my God. Like,
100%.
It's only a matter, you know, I look forward to the moment when Joe Rogan does this. And it's like, I'm doing Joe Rogan.
Roach
coins and rip off all his fans. And then later, like, I don't understand. He seems so trustworthy.
Yeah. Well, so then the thing, okay, so this guy, he launched this coin, a bunch of people, a bunch of his followers, they bought into it as an idea. there is so one of the weird things here is that like they bought in with a certain type of crypto, and then the market was like crashing last week, right? So at first this guy pulled a bunch of the money out of the system, and I think the idea was like, I am taking this money out so that when the coin crashes, I can buy back in when it's low, and we can all have even more money, right? Because if you just left it as crypto, it would lose value as the market went down. But if you pulled it out into actual dollars, then you could buy back in when the market was low. This all appears to be a giant scam. There's a guy named CoffeeZilla that does YouTube videos. I watched the whole video on this. Who does like scam investigation stuff on YouTube, and so he has a relationship with people like this.
Okay.
He got this guy on like a Skype call and like interviewed him, and like he is unrepentant about the fact that he just took this money. Like CoffeeZilla is like, well, you could give it back, and he's just like, no. At a certain point, you just have to look out like for yourself, and like
you were doing from the beginning,
right?
Yeah.
And like at a certain point, he also talks about how like people get really emotionally wrapped up in all of this stuff, and like
shit, they
shouldn't
lose tons of money.
They shouldn't take it this seriously. It's at a certain point.
Says the guy who made $500,000,
right?
Yeah.
At a certain point, like it's on you to not get so emotionally involved with the fact that you gave me money and then I took it and bought a Tesla and ran away with
Jeff,
most of it.
Can we just stop right now and go find this guy and just punch him repeatedly in the face? Because it feels like he needs to be punched like a bunch of times.
It does kind of seem like he needs to be punched a bunch of times, but in any case, the moral of the story, like the moral of the last story, is like if guys, if I ever come and tell you that I got a coin, just don't buy it. You could pull this audio clip up.
But then you can buy an NFT of this audio clip.
Then you buy an NFT of the audio clip. Yeah,
that's the most valuable NFT.
Yeah, don't buy into this bullshit. Like most of it is a scam, right? Like the thing is that if you are interested in this technology, and if I put on my most like maybe I was the wrong one hat, right? Like there is maybe a possibility of something like this if you were to create a digital currency that was easier to transmit than all this fucking like Wells Fargo sent you a code to buy a monitor and like you got to remember your credit card number. If you had a digital wallet that was secure and that you were able to just use, and you could basically kind of like take your money and convert it into like internet bucks that you can use on something like Amazon.
Why don't we just, we have digital money now that's real money.
Yeah.
I don't understand what we need the other money for.
I get it. The thing is that whatever it is, even if that's appealing, this ain't it, Chief. Like, this is not it. Like, it needs 5 more years for this fucking line that goes up and down. The fact that, like, Elon Musk's tweets can affect the currency market of your chosen currency, that's not a market you want in on. You want something a little bit more stable than something where, like, Joe Rogan saying Dogecoin on his podcast could make the value skyrocket or go through the floor or whatever. Like, that's not what you want. So, don't do it.
So that's our last NFT story, right?
That is our last NFT story.
Oh, really? It is?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. I forgot that we're a video game podcast.
Just kidding. It was a rug pull. There's so much. No.
I thought we were on a techno stock market report. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. I just get really mad about this stuff because, and I want to be really clear about this. The reason that I get so mad about this stuff, and especially as it particularly relates to video games, is that I have watched since the PlayStation 3 era, since the era when things were online and there were hard drives and consoles, I have watched game companies and companies in general basically like they will lie through their teeth to sell you something and then tell you that it was a benefit for you, and it's not. The DLC, it is not. Like, there has been good DLC. That's fine. It used to be called an expansion pack, and you could decide to buy it or not. Sure. And nobody was selling it to you up front. The fucking loot boxes, they were somewhat fun, but like the fact that it got so ingrained into the system where it was just like, well, of course there's loot boxes. Or the fact that your single player game like Assassin's Creed obviously has been tuned to make the grinding of the experience be difficult so that they can sell you the experience doubler for $10, which is just an extra $10 tax on top of your thing. None of this stuff has worked out to benefit people.
Sure.
Games have continued to be good in spite of that, and the good things about games have been like enhancements in writing and like music and the tech engines and like creative stuff. None of this has added significantly. Now, like I said, there have been good DLC packs, there have been good expansion packs, but there was no reason that this had to be expected. That like
when it's one of those, like, the game is just not really a good game until you've bought the DLCs,
right?
And you're like,
or just the idea that you can buy the $90 version on day one with the expectation that within the next year there's going to be 4 DLCs, and we don't even know what they're going to be, but we'll figure them out and they'll be good. Trust us.
Sure.
But then there's plenty of games that come out and like they're complete fucking horrible failures, and then that stuff when it comes out just ends up being like lip service, or it's like cosmetics or whatever. So the thing is that I see this as like a quantum leap in fuckery to disconnect you from your money for no appreciable benefit, to do things that we can already do using systems that are generally used for crime. Like, I don't know. It's like, you know, if somebody told you, like, don't buy your games at GameStop, I'm creating a new service where you can meet like a really sketchy dude that vapes and he's got tinted windows in the back of the Taco Bell to buy all your games at, and it costs like the same amount of money, but now you can hand your $70 to some guy named fucking some guy behind a Taco Bell, and it's like, well, that's worse than what I was doing before.
I don't know, man. Fredo seems okay.
Yes, exactly. It's like, no, but it's off the system. It's completely off. You're not buying into the system. You're totally off the grid. And it's
What's weird, like the way they're taking advantage of this distrust,
right,
and putting it into even more like bullshit system.
Yeah,
like, oh, this is crime.
Right,
going like, oh, you can't trust that established like thing, can you? No, of course not. We know they're just trying to hurt us all. Because look at the stuff that they did, try to make money from you. So let us make money from you instead in a way that you get no guarantees.
Yeah, swipe your credit card on Fredo's Square thing on his connected to his phone. He's totally not going to take your credit card number.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong with this system? Anywho, let's go. We still got more podcasts left.
It's unbelievable that we do, but here we go. No more NFTs, people.
Yeah, actually, we're getting through this a lot faster than I thought. So,
okay, we might have to take questions.
So last week we had a lot of fuckery about Activision and the...
Isn't there always every week?
Yes. Raven Software, which used to be their own publisher, but now they're just make Call of Duty bullshit. Subdivision of Activision had a few people in their QA department that have like formally unionized, and last week they asked Activision Blizzard to recognize their union. Activision Blizzard said no, which means they have to take their petition to the National Labor Relations Board and they have to vote on it. Activision is forcing all of Raven to vote on it. This week we got basically a Discord like Q&A that was sent to people internally in Raven about like, you know,
here's why unions are bad.
Unions here. I'll tell you what about the unions.
I mean, I get why any company would not want their employees to be unionized in a capitalistic environment. No, of course, because they're not going to make money when their people are unionized under any circumstances.
Yes.
Right? That this is not like good per se on an immediate level from for the company, but here's the thing, and people should be paid like reasonably for the work that they do.
Sure.
And have certain guarantees.
Yes.
There was a reason why unions were so big for so long and were so important. And there's a reason why the Republican Party, ever since Reagan, has been trying to do everything it can do to paint them as the bad guys and as, quote, communists, which is absolute nonsense. But now we're seeing the rise of this being a thing again all over the place. It's been Amazon, Starbucks, and various other companies, and now in video games. And this is nothing but a good thing. But the problem is there's still so many stupid people out here who don't really understand what's going on due to all the misinformation, which they put more money into than they probably would pay out in just signing the union agreements.
Yes.
And that are like voting against this. Like Amazon had a thing where they're like their facility everyone voted against it like 2-1, but now like they had lawsuits against them because like, oh, Amazon apparently gave their people flat out lies about unions and what it meant. Like just gave them absolute bullshit like fake information. And it sounds like that's exactly what's happening here with Activision.
Yes, absolutely. in I spend a lot of time these days just trying to like be like, well, if you think about it in a slightly different way, of course. Where it's like, if you ran a company that was all about trying to get the most amount of labor for the lowest amount possible, of course you don't want a labor union.
It's
like
capitalism at its most unhinged level,
and
is no matter what, it should be about profit.
Yeah. And as somebody who's been working for the last like 25 years, right? Like, I have watched the level of, it used to be that there was a certain amount of kind of like morality in a company where it's like, well, they won't punch you in the face. Like, I don't know. They may ask you to come in on Saturday, but they're not going to punch you in the face.
I mean, they didn't punch you in the dick.
And then it was like, over time, it was like, okay, well, they'll flick your ear, but they won't punch you in the face. And it's like, well, they might slap you around a little bit, but they're not going to punch you in the face.
No,
and then at some point, it was just like...
I've watched it be like the frog in a slowly boiling pot of water with employees, where it was like, well, what are you going to do? We're watching now, like, this thing, places, restaurants having signs on their door going, well, there's a labor shortage. And then employees going, there's no fucking labor shortage, dude. You just suck and no one wants to work for you.
Yep. The one that's really interesting, I think, here is, and I think that this actually, I think that this, also, one of the things I really love about this Discord, I don't know if you noticed this, the screenshot of this Discord, is that whatever corporate hack did this, copied it from like a Word document, because the numbers are all the same number. It's like a numbered list, but they're not actually,
they didn't even bother.
It's just 1 1 1 1 1 all the way down. But yeah,
they're all equally important, Jeff.
Yes. There's one here that's like, because it's all this question and answer nonsense. How do you compare bargaining with a union to a direct relationship with a company in terms of changes for an individual employee? And the answer is, in a direct relationship model where you and the company share goals, agreement is quick and the company can swiftly make changes. In a bargaining model, agreement and change comes quickly only when the union has the exact same goals and also has no additional goals that it would rather insist on. It often takes months or years to come to a collective bargaining agreement. A unionized company cannot act quickly on its own if the union does not agree with its position. In both situations, the company remains free to disagree and maintain a different position. Like, yeah, that's why they don't want this, because, like, you know, we were just talking about Battlefield 2042 getting pushed out the door. We saw Cyberpunk 2077. Like, these companies want to be able to push this stuff out on time, regardless of how much crunch it takes, regardless of how much,
all the horror stories of people having to work like nightmarish hours or on salary at these things. Like, you know, unrelenting, no one should ever have to be asked to do this hours to get stuff out on time. Yeah. I mean, this is what we're talking about here.
Because can you imagine if the game was 70% completed and it had to come out in 4 months and they were like, guess what? Everybody's going to work 80-hour weeks. And they were like, actually, we're on strike.
Yeah. And then it was like, would be like, we don't have to. And if you do, but you can ask us to, in which case we get paid double the amount for every hour. After that, you know, like the way that things have been set up for a long time about like doing overtime.
Yeah.
Because even these companies doing this shit with salary employees, they find ways around overtime pay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like, well, we don't have to pay you overtime, and if you don't work the hours required, you're fired.
Yeah. Oh, there's been nothing but there's also been a million stories about this idea that it's like everybody works unpaid overtime, and then if you clock out at the end of your shift, then you're like shunned, and like people are like, I don't know, you don't really seem like much of a team player. There's all this weasel wordy bullshit to get you to work when you're not being paid, and like, no, do not do it. So hopefully this shit, I hope that they manage to get their, if there's anybody, I mean, like, not to put not to belittle or any of the other people who make video games, but QA testers get treated like garbage, like absolute fucking shit. So if there was any part of game development that I feel like needed a union, I think QA is a good place to start, because it's like, you know, QA is at the bottom of the heap, but then they're also like vital to making sure that a game like Battlefield 2042 doesn't come out.
No, I mean, I've been hearing for like 7, 8 years now about how testers get fucked.
Oh yeah,
and it didn't used to be that way, man. When I first moved here, when I remember Origin Systems was here, I knew people who were working as testers for Origin. They were like, "This is good money. It's good. Benefits are good. Good money. You know, I mean, like you got to do all 40 hours for your shift, but like overall, it's a pretty good job. You know, like." But now they're treated like McDonald's employees.
The market takes a turn. They have to slash the budget. They get rid of QA. They make the remaining people work twice as hard.
Yeah.
but then when the market comes back, they leave it that way. And then the next time the market takes a downturn, they do it again until you've got a team of like 8 people testing fucking like Skyrim. It's like there's no way to do
and then
this.
make this argument like, hey, gamers, don't you want your games to be as good as possible?
Yes.
Well, then you should be against unions.
Nope. I'm more than willing to let games take way longer to come out.
Yeah, and also there's 8 billion games that come out. I cannot play all the games I want to play. I will never be able to play all the games I want to play. I'm okay with there being less games.
There are like 8 games from last year that I just didn't get a chance to play that I would go back and play if I had time.
Yeah,
So
I would prefer if the employees were paid appropriately.
I would prefer employees were paid appropriately if I just full stop. Like there's no
other
like
but
like if they're like, oh well, we have to raise the price of games to $80 a piece, and I'm like, well, if they're good fucking games,
but no, you don't. Look, you don't. That's nonsense because you look at the profit margin for these games and you're like, no, you don't. You clearly do not.
Yep.
And you look at CEO like paychecks and you're like, oh my god. When you start getting to that level, when you look at the differentials in pay, you're like, why does this guy deserve this much more than everybody else? I'm sorry.
True.
I mean, I don't want to sound like Karl Marx here. I feel like I'm more of a Groucho Marx most of the time, but you know,
I think that for anybody that's been alive and working for a long time like you and I, it's like you just have seen like a 20-year degradation in pay and like benefits and like opportunity and the work conditions.
I see it even happen in smaller companies. Like I don't want to name any names, but here specifically, but I've seen smaller restaurant, bar, theater chains do things that went from where like everybody was really well taken care of to watching it slowly degrade when another company was brought in to like manage day-to-day things to where it was like, it was clear that everything changed and this is just about profit and the bottom line as opposed to what initially was, hey, this is a place that's great for everybody to work at. Everybody loves working here. It's good for everyone.
Yep.
You know, that was making a great profit before they changed.
Before all the horse shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of making a big profit, we got some this was a question, but it has now been kind of made formal that apparently the FTC is going to be reviewing Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition.
Good. They should be reviewing every acquisition.
The question here was whether this would be the FTC or the Justice Department.
Yeah.
And it's going to be falling under the FTC.
Is there enough evidence that the Justice Department should get involved that something criminal is happening here?
In all honesty, I don't have enough information to be able to answer that question.
When I saw that, I was like, why would the Justice Department be involved?
I don't know. Maybe because
it feels like there's a story we're not getting.
I don't know. It's possible that maybe it's like if it's of a certain level, then it might be a monopoly and that's a crime. But I would still think that's a trade, right?
That's FTC,
like so.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But in any case, Microsoft's previous acquisition of Bethesda happened, and guys, we got to do this. It's just the story. Happened under the Trump administration when that was much more lax about letting companies buy other companies.
What you want.
Right. And the current FTC commissioner is a Biden appointee who is not as lax about this stuff. So who knows? The question kind of becomes, it's been interesting to watch this because, again, being an old fuck like myself, I remember when we were talking about how like Microsoft should be broken up in the Windows 95 days and how like you can't package a web browser with your or operating system. That's a monopoly. You can't. You gotta.
Boy, things sure have changed.
Yeah. Well, no, I feel like it's a flat circle, right? We've come all the way back around to the FTC investigating Microsoft for that sort of thing. Let's see. We also got news. I actually really like this. So in the UK, this is happening mostly in Europe. Europe has a bunch more laws about how like you can't fuck your customers.
How nice. How refreshing.
Yeah. And so one of the things that Microsoft is doing apparently in Europe is they're kind of retooling a lot of their the kind of Game Pass rules. Some of this is good, like better upfront information about like what it's going to be, when it's going to charge, that kind of thing. You know what I really like? I really like when a company like sends you a message, sends you an email like 5 days before they charge your card. Where they're like, "Hey, your bill's coming up. Just let you know."
Just so you know,
yeah,
you're about to get charged an ungodly amount amount of money for doing a thing that you thought you only signed up for 1 year for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Refunds. They'll be giving out refunds on stuff. But the one that I really like is apparently if you've got a Game Pass subscription and you haven't been using it, Microsoft will like reach out and be like, hey, we're going to cancel this because you're not using it anymore.
That's good. That is like... That's good for the company and the relationship with their customers of knowing that that would make me more willing to sign up for something like that, to go like, I don't know if I'm going to use this forever. And it's so easy to end up. This has happened to me where I was like, "Fuck!" I just didn't even pay attention to the fact that like it got the notification, "You've been charged for this." Wait, what? Yeah, I don't even use that. Yeah. So this is good. You're right. I agree with you. Yep. This should not be a thing that you have to worry about.
Yeah. And so
never thought I'd say this, but yay, Microsoft.
Good job, Microsoft.
Good job, Microsoft.
So this may or may not be coming to the United States.
I'm going to go probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. It would be nice if they did it, though, because Microsoft has been... I think Microsoft over the last few years with the Game Pass stuff, that they've kind of learned, like... If that this sort of thing, like, you might lose some inactive subscriptions from it, but like the goodwill from the public kind of makes up for that, where you're like, oh, that seems like a company that I can trust because they're not going to just fucking take my money because I forgot and I'm still paying for EverQuest in 2022.
There's so much competition in the market right now. Yeah. Like, it feels like eventually this has to come back around to the company you can trust.
I'll move that.
Are you moving my mic? I'm sorry. Am I doing this wrong?
Just a little bit.
I'll go. Do you want me to put my whole mouth?
Just put it right in your mouth. Put it all the way in your mouth. Yeah.
It's not the deepest this has been. What? The gag reflex is still not kicking in.
Oh, good. Let's see. This is another one that I thought was kind of interesting. Apparently Kickstarter is being used a lot these days for board game Kickstarters. Like one of the big
that makes sense. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah. So
I love board games.
Apparently, for the last few years, Kickstarter has been doing a thing called Zine Quest, and so like in February, Kickstarter will do this kind of week-long like showcase of board game Kickstarter projects that are coming up, and it's a thing that it's been happening for so long that the community literally like is focused around it. Like people get their pitches ready to come out in February.
Right.
Kickstarter apparently came online this week and said that they are just moving this. Like with weeks left until it was going to start, they're moving it to August to.
Well, that's kind of fucked up when you consider people have been preparing for this for a long time.
Yes, to coincide with Gen Con 2022.
That's no consideration with people like all these companies who are building these games having their whole plan built around.
Right. Like if you're planning on fundraising happening in February, you can't just like a lot of companies can't just hit the pause button until fucking 6 months later.
Took a loan out for this shit.
Yeah. So a bunch of these smaller folks are basically teaming up to create an event called Zine Month, which is going to be them all banding together to create their own thing. Kicks off February 1st. It's going to be going throughout the month of February, and then they're just going to be setting up independent donation platforms outside of Kickstarter to be like, we were all ready to go. We can't put this shit on pause.
Right.
So, I recommend go and check it out. I mean, I never really got into like the.
I love board games.
Board game thing.
I'm that guy who's like, I've got like 18 board games that I bought that
you haven't even opened yet.
I haven't even opened yet. They're like, it seems cool.
Yeah. So if you go to zinemonth.com, there's a bunch of different projects here that you can look at. It seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
So give it a shot.
In. Board games are really cool, man. If you've really not taken the time to mess with those, here's the thing. There's a lot of intimidation based on, but the rules are so complicated to learn a new board game.
Yep.
Here's the thing. It doesn't matter what board game it is. There are extensive and easy to understand YouTube videos of how to play every game.
I saw one.
Where you go, whenever I get a game and we're going to play it, I just go, all right, search for it on YouTube. And there's like,
let's just watch this video.
300 videos on how to play this and like that are ranked. And you can go like, and some of them by like, you can see Will Wheaton or somebody teach you how to play a game, Like, yeah, it's not as hard as you think.
Okay.
And it's very rewarding.
I agree. I saw one that looked like it was like, it was like Cards Against Humanity, sort of, but it was like a drinking game.
Yeah.
And it was specifically like a card-based drinking game.
Any game can be a drinking game, Jeff.
If you try hard enough.
I've discovered that. Like, if we play Monopoly, dollars. Who needs dollars? We got shots.
Oh, shit, you go to jail? Oh, shit.
Oh, boy.
Get the Jägermeister.
Do not pass the breathalyzer. Do not go.
Let's see. Speaking of Kickstarter, though, the Yacht Club games that made the fantastic Shovel Knight. And
So people tell me I've not played it.
All the Shovel Knight expansion. It's one of the great things where it's like an old school NES platformer, but it's so perfectly tuned that it's like you can totally play it no matter what your skill level is. But they basically have started up a new fundraising campaign where they're putting in their own money, and then they are also partially crowdfunding a game called Mina the Hollower. And they actually came out with because Yacht Club Games is big now, they came out with a full-on trailer for it.
Okay.
And it looks really cool.
It looks like a Nintendo game.
Yeah, it's basically like a kind of top down.
I don't get you retro guys, but okay.
It's yacht. I know where you're coming from. Like, I saw a comment, I think it might have been in this on the YouTube channel, where somebody was like, I can't wait to get to the day when we all start aping the 16-bit era instead of the 8-bit era because it's so much better looking. But like, Yacht Club games are so fun. Like, they're very basic, but like, they're really, really exquisitely fun. This one seems to be kind of a top-down, like Zelda style type of thing, but then also there's like a whip mechanic, and then there's like this go underground and burrow underground mechanic that looks really cool. Like, they're doing cool stuff where it's like there was that one part where you can see like a glass floor that you can go under, that you can see the character moving around.
It's funny, like, even though like this is very much looks like a product of that time, Nintendo time, it's also got just enough going on that you're like, they couldn't have done this.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a little bit, I mean, definitely got the aesthetic of a Nintendo game, but it's a little bit too complicated for a Nintendo game. But yeah, this looks absolutely amazing. Like, somebody posted the trailer in their Discord server, and I remember looking at it, and I was just like, oh, somebody just posted an indie game, and I was like, wait a minute, it's by Yacht Club? Hold on, let me look at it. So
I'm glad you guys can like good stuff. We just not all going to like the same stuff.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
100%. But yeah, if you want, it is on Kickstarter. I should go.
Mina the Hollower.
I should go Kickstarter. I wonder what their Kickstarter's up to. Wait, is there not even a link in the?
Well, they're now selling NFTs for
$630,000 pledged of a $311,000 goal.
Christ.
With 26 days to go. So it's been up for 4 days, and they have gone double over their initial ask. So,
wow.
Woo!
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that.
I guess that's coming out.
Things are oh yeah. Well, I think it was always going to come out. It's definitely like, so when Shovel Knight, I think that they used how much they went above their initial funding to put out Shovel Knight, and then 4 separate remixes of Shovel Knight that are all each their own great, like 10 to 12 hour AAA games. So, and they're all fantastic.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably will never play it, but whatever. Now, here's a game that I do play.
Do you play Wordle?
Every fucking day. In fact, I stay up till midnight
What?
just so I can get started.
Really?
I do. I love Wordle. And I get, if it disappeared tomorrow, I'd be like, whatever. It was fun while it lasted. But, I got it. I like seeing all the things everybody's posting on Facebook or whatever. Like, what is that? What is that thing?
Yep.
And when I first went on the site, I'm like, it's like, the instructions are not clear. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
But once I figured it out, I was like, oh yeah, this is for me.
My thing was that I was playing it for about a week, and then I forgot one day, and I broke the streak, and I was just like, I'm done with that. In fact, it reminds me of how I used to play MMOs back in the day, where I'd be the first person to get on an MMO, and I'd convince all my friends to get on it, and as soon as they had all signed up to join a guild, I was like, I'm done with that. Bye. You guys have fun. I'm going somewhere else.
I got it in 2 today, Jeff.
Woo.
I got it in it's all about your starting word.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fucking optimize for Wordle. Anyway, Wordle is huge. Everybody's playing it. It got bought by the New York Times.
Of course it did.
Yep.
I'm surprised it took this long.
Yep. And apparently it was a 7-figure deal. Josh Wardle, the guy that made Wordle, came out and basically said, like, yep, they bought it. We're going to work real hard to get your like streaks and stuff translated over so you don't have to start over all of your stats and whatever.
I didn't even realize it was saving my stats. I just played.
Oh yeah. Yep. When you load it up, it shows you how many days in a row you've played and like how many wins and stuff like that you've had.
I like once I win, I'm like, okay, done. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't post your score to the Wordle channel on my Discord server?
Not even once.
Really? It's right there.
Why do I want to annoy non-Wordle players with my Wordle score?
No, but that's why the channel is a Wordle only channel.
Yeah,
so
what does that do for you?
it makes a nice little like it's like art. It's like NFTs that I can look at.
We'll get more into that later, but yeah.
So yeah, the real question here is that the New York Times has said that, like, for at least for the time being, they're not going to be putting this behind their paywall, which they definitely have.
Yeah, we all know that that's only going to last but so long.
Yes, I have a feeling that they have already in mind a number that once the daily users dips below number X, like if they did it right now, the outcry would be immense, and they would have to deal with a bunch of shit online, and it would be look real bad.
A year away from it being like, well, you can play it like 3 times a month.
Yes.
Yeah, for free.
Yeah.
But there's 8 billion ripoffs of Wordle out there that are the same fucking game.
Yes.
Just to like have a Lordle, or like there's a Lord of the Rings one, Lordle, where it's only Lord of the Rings terms, and there's a Swordle, which is only Star Wars stuff.
Last week, Bryce told me that he started playing one because Bryce was the reason I started playing it in the first place. He started playing one where you have to do 2 words simultaneously with the same.
I saw that. I was like, no, too much. Wordle even took me a while for my brain to wrap around it, and I was like, okay.
I'm playing the new Pokemon game. I decided not to play Wordle. So, but yeah, good job. Like, I feel like this is one of those things that we see all the time on the internet where like a thing will become the thing in the zeitgeist, and then somebody that just made a fun indie project gets a huge payout.
Ridiculously simple idea.
Yep.
That caught the imagination of like everyone.
Yep.
And the guy got 7 figures for it, and he literally never has to do anything with it again.
There you go.
He's just like, I'm done, and I can move on and create some other thing.
And even if the New York Times was to fuck it up right now, it's like, well, we got a few months of good fun out of it.
It was fun while it lasts.
Nobody's going to be playing Wordle in 4 years.
Yeah, I don't think that I'm going to be playing Wordle for the rest of my life, but for right now, it's kind of fun.
I'm not playing threes still, so
I never played Sudoku, so I don't know.
Oh yeah. I hate that game.
Damn, I didn't know this was serious.
I'm bad at it, so that's why I don't play it.
Math is not my strong point. So
let's see. We also got we got a story that CD Projekt Red's next game that they're going to be making. I'm sure this is very exciting for people. Is going to be a single player version of Gwent. So
when I saw this article, I went, should I know what Gwent is? And it sounds familiar. It's like, yeah, it's the most boring part of the Witcher game series.
Right.
But there's got to be those 4 people who are like, I'm really into Gwent.
So there already is a Gwent that is a multiplayer game like Hearthstone. But they are now creating basically like a single player version. It's like, well, yeah, you've got all the cards and you've got the rules and you just have to create scenarios. In fact, I'm pretty sure there was a game. No. King Breaker. There already was a single player Gwent game.
Was there? I don't know. I just don't care that much. It's like every RPG now has to have that thing where you go into a fucking inn and somebody's like, hey, do you want to play this gambling game? And you're like, and that sometimes have really complicated rules. Like Gwent's got relatively complicated rules.
Thronebreaker.
But like I'm playing Kingdoms of Amalur right now, and the game in it that they play is odd or even. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, there totally was. It was like you run around on this top-down map, and then you end up all the combat is done through Gwent.
That's weird, dude. People love the card game stuff, man.
Ever since that triple triad in Final Fantasy VIII.
My take has always been like, look, the appeal of the card games is that you have physical cards in your hand.
Yes.
And that you're playing with a person in person.
Yes.
I don't really get the,
Also, just, like, keep in mind CD Projekt Red. Like, see if it's worth it. Like, wait for somebody to tell you whether it's worth it or not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, okay, so Dying Light 2 got leaked.
Which I'm seeing ads for constantly.
Yeah, I actually bought it twice.
What?
I bought it on the console, and I bought it on the PC to see if it would run better. And anyway...
what a life you lead.
They Techland is basically told, they put out a story last week, by the time this comes out it'll be out, right? But the idea was that there were places that were breaking the street date on it, so people are getting a hold of it early. This game is apparently a buggy piece of shit right now.
Ooh.
Like, it's pretty buggy. And the thing is that Techland said, like, hey, if you got an early copy of this, don't play it until like it actually comes out, because you need that day one patch. It will reduce stuff. I was playing it on my Series X. I was in the middle of a conversation. Somebody said something, or there was a dialogue thing, and then it just turned into and then the sound turned off, and then it didn't come back on until I quit the game.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So buggy as shit. Yes.
Apparently, like, well, I read some reviews of it where people were like, this is really buggy. Like, I think that it's not very well optimized, but it took me a while to understand that Dying Light 2 is like, it's just like a Fallout game, except that it's running around parkour and punching zombies and stuff. So
yeah.
It's a huge open world game. So usually when that happens, there's no way to test like whether everything is fully optimized.
Can we get like a filter where instead of zombies, they're NFT tech bros?
Just every one of them is one of those apes. It's a bored ape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, you should really get into crypto.
But I really would suggest everybody, like, if you're on the fence about Dying Light 2, like, watch some videos of it before you go and immediately buy it. Right. It is definitely a rough experience right now that will probably, if you could stand to just wait for a year, be better to play in a year.
Yeah,
like
it'll be cheaper.
Yeah, and way cheaper. And there'll probably be a bunch of expansions and shit as well. Let's see. We also had a story this week where apparently there was a YouTube channel that did nothing but upload video game soundtracks that got 1,300 copyright blocks on the same day, all from Nintendo, all for Nintendo stuff.
Even the guy who did this was like, look, I get it. I mean, technically, all that stuff belongs to them.
Yep.
His one complaint was, if you guys would just make this stuff available somewhere, like on your own channels, because people love these early Nintendo themes and they're not available anywhere, which is why I did this.
Yep.
So he's got a fair point, but Nintendo is within their rights to do what they're doing. So it's not like he's mad about it. He's just like,
he's just disappointed.
He's using this for an example to like come out and like use the voice to say like, hey, Nintendo, make a channel.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like Nintendo has used the rationale in the past that it's like, well, you can't, they've eased up on it, but their whole thing used to be like, well, if people put up Let's Play channels, we can't have that because then people won't buy the games because they can just watch the games on YouTube. It's completely ignoring that interactive and non-interactive are two different experiences. But like, yeah, I definitely agree with the just like, well, then make a music player on your website that we can listen to the music from fucking Legend of Zelda if we want to.
Yeah, those weird people that want to do that, and God love you. God love every last one of you. It's not for me, but like, you know, there the people out there who want to do that. Maybe Jeff's one of them. I don't know.
Well, last week we had a bunch of Pokemon episodes that Amanda and I recorded where the video didn't work. The video was just like totally fucked up. So we had to re-record all of them. So I was going to put them out as like the lost episodes. We recorded a little intro, and so I wanted some backing music because we still had all the game audio. So it's like a podcast, but you just hear the game audio. We hear our commentary, but you can't see what we're looking at. And in the intro, I wanted something to put behind it so it wasn't just silent. So I went out and found the Pokemon Legends Arceus village music and downloaded it off of YouTube and put it behind the thing, and so that was useful to me. But
then you're gonna see the altered version come up now, like this Nintendo block with just a picture of Mario going
Yeah, I don't know. In a lot of ways, I just wish. It's funny because I think I always have to remember this. I think that when you live in America and you hear the word conservative, something very specific comes to mind that has to do with a lot of different American political things. But like, Nintendo is an incredibly conservative company in that, like, they don't want anybody doing anything with any of their shit, regardless of whether it's like a fun thing.
That's not uncommon
like,
with Japanese companies,
Right.
like big entertainment, like Toho,
Yeah.
the film company, well known for exactly the same thing.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't matter that we're not making money off this. And that you're not making money off this. We just don't want you to touch our shit.
yes.
You know?
Yes, exactly. So
And they're well within their rights, but it also is kind of a dick move.
yeah. It engenders a feeling of like, meh. It's kind of one of the reasons why I don't like. There's a kind of a particular section of the internet that's just like, Nintendo, they're so great and they're so fun and they're so nice, and I'm like, you need to read more of the stories that I read about. Like, you know, if you host a Legend of Zelda ROM on your website, then you get a fucking legal cease and desist in the mail from Iwata personally. But
All right. What's next?
next, we have to talk about a different.
All right, this is all you. I know nothing about wrestling or wrestling games.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We got the announcement, I think it was last week, that WWE 2K22, I will give you a very brief rundown. The last big WWE, the last one of these games, it used to be a yearly franchise. The last one, I believe, was WWE 2K20, which came out in 2019, or it might have been 19. I thought it was 20, though. It was an unparalleled disaster. There was a company called Ukes that had been making the WWE games for a long time. They disconnected from 2K to go make their own, to go make different games, and so like their B team had to step in, and they were obviously rushed to put it out. It was like, you see videos online of people's heads turned inside out, or like half their body is over here. Like, it was fucking awful. So in 2020, they took a year off with, or they made a like arcade style wrestler called WWE Battlegrounds, where all the characters were like stylized, and it was a big like, oh, you've got these virtual character packs that you have to open up to figure out if you can get one of these wrestlers. But they're back now with WWE 2K22 that was announced a couple weeks back. And it's like what the people expect from the WWE games, of just like, you know, the actual WWE characters fighting each other. I talked about this a little bit on the video that we put out today. I think this game looks like shit.
It looks terrible.
It looks like
I thought you were about to rave about it, and I was like, what are you talking about? This looks like it's 2 generations ago.
Yeah, well, first off, the WWE games always look like shit to me, because they do this thing where they have to they scan all the wrestlers' faces because people want to see them, but then they don't have any expressions, so they look like dolls.
Right.
The animations are really stiff and like repetitive, and
even the backgrounds are terrible.
and it's got this really uncanny valley thing going on, where it's like,
no. Uncanny Valley is when it's so close to being real, but there's still something missing that makes it disturbing. This is not even, doesn't on any level look like it's close to being real.
Well, I don't know. It's just like the character faces are good because they've literally scanned the people in.
But they've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah. But then again, it's like I don't know. It's just like the all of the moves seem repetitive. They've changed up the entire system. You would have to go find, I'm sure there are plenty of YouTubers that have a really in-depth analysis. I actually kind of like the part where it seems like the controls have been simplified greatly to make it more like an arcade game and less like this. It used to be this really technical thing. There were all these bars, and like, I don't know, every guy had like 4 different health bars, and it would change the things that could happen. And here it's like, I don't know, charge up the meter and then use it to do your fucking suplex or whatever. But yeah, I think that this looks like absolute total shit from a graphical perspective. The gameplay might be fun, but like, I don't know, it's just everyone's so stiff and lifeless.
Yeah, it looks horrible. Right off the bat, I was like, is this really a next-gen game?
And if you really want some fun, go back and watch this video. Go back and watch the part where they're wrestling. Watch the referee, Chris, who just like, in the most robotic way possible, like going back and forth. Like, your eye is drawn to the wrestlers, but if you look at this poor AI model try to like walk around in the ring and not get in the way of anybody, and it's just the most awkward thing.
He's glitchy as fuck.
Yeah, of all time. I don't know. Again, let's just do the old Jeff special here.
What's the Jeff special?
Don't pre-order this game, man. Like,
fair.
just
Yeah.
maybe you could buy it. Maybe it's fine. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm
Maybe
talking
it'll
about.
improve. Maybe this is just an early. It's not though.
Yes,
is
but
it?
I guarantee you that whatever. Well, it comes out in March.
Okay, so it's not an
It's
early.
done. It's finished. This is what it's going to look like when
It's
it comes
garbage,
out. Like,
dude. This is garbage. I would never. I'll play a fighting game, right? Like, and I've played some boxing games I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
This looks, like I said, 2 if not more generations ago of gaming.
It does. It looks pretty bad. But then, like, the previous games looked pretty bad as well, but people still bought them.
Yeah,
But
wrestling fans like wrestling. I don't know what to tell you.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
They'll buy wrestling stuff.
I don't know what
Here's
you're
a
gonna do.
wrestling NFT.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's
I don't
what
know.
you should do.
What, wrestle?
NFTs. It seems like they're buying these games. They'll buy you selling wrestling NFTs. You should
Also,
do
the
that.
WWE sucks. Like
I don't know. Don't even get me started. I don't even know.
So. Anywho,
That whole world is so complicated, and also half of it is just like written dramatic bullshit anyway. That I'm just like, I don't care. Just don't even tell me. I don't want to know. Like that's great. You love it. I'm good with that. I'm good with me never knowing. I'm on this side. You can stay on this side. I'll worry about what's going on with Spider-Man. You worry about what's going on with whatever wrestler you care about.
I'm just gonna get John to come over and like rage when it comes out. So, we got my favorite company, Whales Interactive, who makes these really silly live action choose your own adventure FMV movies.
I didn't even know anyone was still doing these.
There's one company called Whales Interactive that's still doing them. They've been doing them for a while now, and they put out a new trailer for this one called "Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus?" That's like, I've been poisoned. I'm your uncle. Go interview all your relatives, your crazy relatives over Zoom, and tell
the internet equivalent of those old videotape board games they used to have. It's like, now go fast forward to this number on the thing, except now you don't have to sit and fast forward it. It just does it automatically.
Yep.
To the video clips of going, because like anytime you we'll play it again, because this time it could be someone different who murdered the person.
Yes. It looks silly.
Yeah,
I love it. I love how silly they are.
Oh, is this your thing?
Oh, I love them.
They're
They're always kind of like B-tier actors. They're always delivering their lines in a really cheesy way. I love the fact that they got fucking David Wallace from The Office to be Uncle John or whatever. Like,
is that who that is? I don't know.
Yeah, the guy that was like the boss of like Michael Scott's boss at Dunder Mifflin. He's the poisoned guy.
Okay.
Uncle Marcus. What show Uncle Marcus?
Well, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
They always, I feel like a lot of times they manage to get like one actual recognizable actor for their thing. And yeah, I love these. I love
I remember thinking at one point, if a comedy troupe that was really good at what they were doing would just take over this technology and made that's what we do. We don't do sketch comedy. We write interactive like games that's all designed to just be absurdly really well written comedy funny. There's a future for this technology. This does not look like the future for this technology.
Oh, no. But it's wonderful. I love playing them, though, because they're so wonderful. It's basically as close as I ever get to being able to do live movie commentary on Rage Select. So, yeah, can't wait. Microsoft Flight Simulator put out one of their fucking beautiful ass trailers. They've been adding various parts of the world over time.
Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah?
Is this just because you can't travel that you just do it through this?
I don't know. It's pretty cool. Like I have to appreciate. Like I like the fact that that they're adding in real places and that you can recognize them when they fly past them, and that they're. I mean, I remember when Microsoft Flight Simulator is basically just like a JPEG. Like stuck to a ground, and now it's like you can see individual trees.
Well, yeah, I mean the idea has been for a while now that like it's like as close as you can get to actually. I mean, it's a flight simulator of going to these places, which I guess is cool. Or you could just watch documentaries.
Well, I also like the fact that they, I mean, they're using map data and then they're like putting out these really nice versions one at a time. Basically,
they're in Australia now, which I admittedly will probably never go to because everything there kills you.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like that culturally Australia is great, but like in terms of like a lot of the stuff they've offered to the world, I know a lot of cool Australians, what have you, but I'm not going to Australia. There's like spiders, fucking fish, fucking like I think there's kangaroos with venomous fangs now. I don't know.
Well, you could always fly around in Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, I guess so.
Far Cry 6 has a Rambo crossover for free. This is stupid.
Hey, man, one of the guys from oneofus.net that I do, Aaron, he loves this game. I'm sorry, right. He loves this game. He's really into Far Cry 6. And I watched this trailer going, oh, it's a Rambo add-on for Far Cry 6. I was like, wait, you don't actually get to be Rambo, though?
No, you get Rambo shit. And
you get to be Rambo-esque.
Yes. And the main character has a bunch of lines from Rambo.
And it keeps saying, Rambo
style.
Even though Rambo style.
Yeah. It's garbage. Far Cry 6 was terrible.
It's basically not Rambo as much as Rochambeau.
I never, like, 2 years ago, a year back, Call of Duty had a thing where you could dress up as Rambo in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
They had like I think it was like Rambo and like John McClane. They put both skins into there, and it's like, I'm still that guy who's just like, the original Rambo is about like PTSD and how like war fucks people up, and they're just like, this is the Hot Shots version where the guy is like, war, it's fantastic.
War, it's good for.
Yeah. So, boo. Cardboard Kings was an interesting little trailer.
I can't believe this isn't a thing already. Like a sim game about opening a game shop and like trading collectible cards.
Yeah, trading cards.
How is this not already a game?
I don't know. It is. It's going to be now.
But it's like the most meta thing ever, right?
Yes. Yeah. It appears to be some kind of cross between like a visual novel and a kind of like Racketeer store management game where it's got a kind of little fake card game and then you're selling cards to people. Looks cute.
Can you actually play the game within the game?
Almost certainly, because they almost always put it in.
Yeah.
But and then the pièce de résistance Shadow Warrior 3 got a full release date trailer.
All right, so I've never played any of the I didn't even know what Shadow World games were.
Yep.
But I saw this trailer. It was like, this is a fucking funny trailer.
Oh yeah.
This looks like a good time. It's a very, once again using the word meta, but in a different way, like about both gaming and gaming trailers.
Yes.
And I was like, all right, that made me laugh, and the graphics are good, even though this is largely just cutscenes.
This is actually what that game looks like.
Is it?
Yeah, I've seen gameplay from it.
Well, should I play the other Shadow Warriors?
Okay, so I think so. Michael and I played all the way through one of them as a Patreon exclusive.
Okay.
The first one is good. The second one is less good. It was a roguelike. It was different. It was weird. It's okay. The thing is, what's really funny is that Shadow Warrior originally started out as a 3D Realms game, and it was basically like the crude version, the crude Duke Nukem humor. The Duke Nukem engine got made into an Asian themed game called Shadow Warrior with the main character Lo Wang, and he had a really thick stereotypical Asian accent, and it was a bunch of kind of Asian jokes that do not hold up very well.
Sure.
Years later, Devolver Digital from Austin, Texas, who I fucking love with all my heart, I was walking them at a show, and they were rebooting Shadow Warrior, and I played it. At first I was like, oh, you're rebooting that racist game, you fucking edgelords? Okay, whatever. And then I went and played it, and I was like, this game is really good. And like Lo Wang in the Shadow Warrior franchise is a huge dork. Like he's an assassin, but at the very beginning of the first game, he pulls up and he's driving like an 80s car, and The Touch by Stan Bush is playing, and he's like singing along with it badly in his car, and then he gets like fucked over, and he goes.
So it's a comedy action game.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's really solid action. The second one, like I said, was less good, but it was still good. This one looks like it's a little bit more in line with the first one, and it's great. And I'm so glad that Flying Wild Hog has gotten to do 3 of these.
Yeah, even if you have like, I'll never buy this game, watch the trailer. It's funny. It's a funny trailer.
Yeah. Their initial trailer was good too. And it's coming out in March. So,
well, there you go.
Yep, March 1st. The only problem is that this article explaining this had a little bit of a spoiler in it that I didn't know. And I was like,
well, don't give us a spoiler.
I'm not doing it. Let's see. So we got that. We got the news that Supermassive Games is making 5 more Dark Pictures games.
Never even heard of this. What is this?
So this is the company that made Until Dawn, and they've been making yearly anthology horror games. The first one was called Dark Pictures Man of Medan, and it was like a bunch of college students who end up on a boat, and is it haunted or?
So is it more or less the same thing as Until Dawn?
Fairly similar.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't even know they were.
yeah, but they're just cranking them out once a year. So there's been 4 of them, I believe. So
wow.
Man of Medan, Little Hope. No, there's been 3, and then there's a 4th one coming next year. But they've also trademarked 5 more things. So Dark Pictures Directive 8020, which seems like it's going to be a sci-fi thing. Dark Pictures The Craven Man, which seems like it might be a Wicker Man thing.
Yeah. It's got, even though it's got like a Blair Witch sort of logo going on there.
Oh, I saw that as a Wicker Man, but yeah, that could be a Blair Witch. It could be Blair Witch. Dark Pictures Intercession, which seems like it's some kind of like Catholic Satanist thing.
Or it could be school. Intercession is a school thing.
Oh,
right?
that's true.
Yeah.
Dark Pictures Winterfold, which could be anything. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
And then Dark Pictures Oh Death. The thing that ties them all together is there is a Grim Reaper character that does like an intro and then comes onto the screen every so often to talk to you, the player, about what you're doing in the game. And I feel like that's this guy in this picture, and that so the last one's going to be talking about that character more directly.
Fair enough. I didn't know him. Can you? Are these only downloadable games?
Yes.
Okay.
Matt and I have played all the way through the first 2. The first one we made all public, and the second one we did for Patreon. The third one we started playing, but then we need to maybe go back to it at some point. But I'm making him play Ratchet and Clank right now, so I can't do anything until that's over. Let's see. Resident Evil 4 HD that we talked about last week is out. It's a little bit cumbersome, but this is probably one of the best conversion projects that's ever existed.
Cumbersome in what sense?
There's a 35 gigabyte torrent that you have to download. That is all of the high resolution textures.
Good Lord.
But they actually did shit like they found out where Capcom like took pictures of doors in like Eastern Europe, and then went to those places to take like 4K pictures of those same doors to put in the
reading this
textures.
It was like, this is a super fanboy project if I've ever seen one, which is great. You know, I mean, like Resident Evil 4 is nowhere near my favorite game in the series, but like I know fans have come back to this and just love this game so much.
Very good.
And like the idea going in like, well, we did, as a fan project, we went in and we just wanted to make it as good and as detailed as it possibly could be. That's cool, man.
Yep.
How does Capcom feel about it?
Because it's a mod, there hasn't been any action yet, and Capcom generally has not been super litigious about this sort of thing.
I makes you wonder with companies like that, why don't they just pay these people?
A lot of times that's what these
release it.
That's what these projects are for. So
yeah, the idea like, why don't you pay us for this?
Yeah. We had another mod, the PSX Bloodborne, the PlayStation 1 demake of Bloodborne also came out.
I remember I think it was an actual PlayStation 1 game, right?
No, Bloodborne was a PS4 game.
Was it?
Yeah.
Did I think maybe I played it through you. Yes, I did. You made me play it. It was one of those Dark Souls fuck you games.
Yes.
God, fuck that game. Jesus, so hard.
So yeah, they created a PS1 demake of it, which is kind of just the first area. It's kind of interesting though, because like I downloaded it. I'm going to play it at some point for Rage Select, but it's like, because it's a PlayStation 1 game, there's no camera controls, so you literally have to use the L2 and R2 buttons to rotate the camera like you would on an OG PS1 game.
I do not understand the world of people who are like, let's spend hundreds of hours of our life doing this thing,
making this game look like garbage,
making it look worse. There should be a worse version of this game.
Well, in a lot of ways, I feel like this is exactly what you were just saying, where this is basically like this is your demo reel now. So now you can go to a company and be like, look what I made.
I can make a worse game than you.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, it's out now. You can download it. It's kind of interesting. They even have like an option to make it so that like if you use the flamethrower, it makes the frame rate of the game tank like it would if it was on a PlayStation.
No, but I thought they said it does do that.
It does. Yes, you can turn it off. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
That's insane, dude. People are insane, Jeff. Why is that a thing?
Oh, holy shit, we're way over time. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is not coming out this year. It's coming out in 2023. Boo. I want to play that game. But
yeah, I do too. I'm enjoying Peacemaker and the last James Gunn Suicide Squad movie quite a bit. So yeah, and especially Guardians of the Galaxy game kind of got my taste whetted for like another cool off the beaten path. Bunch of people are dicks to each other superhero game. So yeah.
Also, it's the first Rocksteady game since Arkham City or Arkham Knight, so,
which was good.
Yeah. The Evil Dead game that was supposed to be out this month is not out. It's been pushed back to May 13th to make it groovy as hell.
Isn't this just another like take on that Jason game?
It's supposed to have some single player, but yes, it appears to be a PvE versus other people.
I love Evil Dead stuff, but come on.
I agree. And then we got a few fun things to wrap up. One is a program that turns Wordle results into the houses from Townscaper, which is pretty fun.
I don't understand what's happening.
So Townscaper was this little thing that came out where you could basically just build towns by clicking on stuff. Are you okay over there?
No, I'm dying. This is like, why would you do this? Just play Wordle and be done with it.
Because it makes your result into a little house.
People are so weird about it. I don't even understand why people are posting the results.
Yeah.
I don't even understand that part. I'm like, why do you keep posting your results? Just play the game.
You gotta let people
enjoy the game, and then you're done. It's a once-a-day thing. You don't need anyone else to go like, good job. You just go like, or you suck. I got that in 1. Why'd you take you 6? Look,
people gotta tell. You gotta tell everybody. It's the internet, man. You gotta tell everybody.
I just don't understand. I'm not condemning anyone. I'm just saying I don't understand it. This I understand even less.
What?
Whatever.
Steamed Hams as a point-and-click adventure game?
No. The thing you were just talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you understand Steamed Hams as a point-and-click adventure game?
I guess. I mean, I like to some. I'm always like, ooh, I love old school point-and-click adventure games. 15 minutes into one, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. This is taking the Steamed Ham sketch from The Simpsons and making it into point-and-click adventure, which has strangely not been done before. So,
is it strange? How many seasons of The Simpsons are there?
Okay, do you not know that like this particular little segment is like a meme where?
Oh no, I know. But
okay.
So are 8 billion other segments from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
My choice would have been like, Dad, you killed Zombie Flanders. He was a zombie.
Yeah, but I feel like those other things haven't already been converted into like a billion other things on the internet.
This just seems like a weird choice for like I'm still trying to figure out. Wait, how do you make a story out of the like Skinner lying to his boss, Superintendent Chalmers, about hamburgers are called steamed hams somewhere else?
You have to click on it.
There's a whole bit. Like, what is that a thing that someone was like? This should be a game.
I don't know.
Why isn't that steamed hams a game?
Apparently so.
Yeah. Maybe they should make an HBO movie or television series out of steamed hams.
Last but not least, we had a pretty cool art project where somebody basically made the entire map of The Legend of Zelda out of Lego as a big thing to put on the wall, which is pretty impressive.
I mean, that is the only startling thing is, really, this just now happened?
Yeah.
It feels like this would, Lego people are crazed.
Yeah.
Like, I mean that in a good way. I'm like, man, full support. Have you ever been to like even Disney Springs has in the Lego area has some very impressive Lego constructs there, but like actual Legoland, you can actually go to the like actually Lego World Parks, and you're like, this is batshit. This must have taken like a year to build like. Here's the Iron Giant in Legos or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I would never do it. I mean, it's the same shit with people doing it in Minecraft. It's the same. I need to recreate this exactly. Except this is there's a physicality for this, so I kind of more. I'm
so you
like,
can put it on the wall.
Yeah.
And that is the podcast.
Are we done?
We're done.
Is there no more NFT stories?
There's no more NFT stories. Chris, tell the people where they can buy your NFTs. That's how we'll wrap it up.
I don't have any NFTs. You can come to oneofus.net. We review movies and TV shows. We're always talking about new stuff. Sometimes we talk about old stuff, including home releases that are coming out that are well worth your money. And you should come check it out. We're big team people. We do it with a comedy sort of theme, and yeah.
Okay. And you already know where to find the Rage Select podcast because you're listening to it. I don't know how you would be hearing this if you didn't already know, but you can send questions in the mail at rageselect.com, and every so often I do actually wrap up with enough news. I thought we might do it this week, but there was just too many news.
Yeah, when we started the second segment, he was like, "Oh, we're early."
Yeah.
I'm like,
and now we're done. So I'm gonna leave you all to it. I'm gonna go outside and just yell at birds about NFTs until they fly away because
yell at clouds.
Somebody's got to hear it. Somebody's got to hear it.
Old Jeff yells at clouds.
I'm doing it.
Where's my steamed ham NFT?